point?
No, not when you look at the totality of evidence.
No.
I mean, you can't. It's just not possible.
No, I'll give that to you, Crit. Yeah, if we knew literally nothing and had literally no technology of any kind, sure.
As soon as you saw your first ship go over the horizon and start raising questions.
Yeah, that's why I said. I mean, not when you factor in like modern technology and the knowledge that comes from that. It wouldn't. There's no way to square them.
Not even modern technology. Just no knowledge at all. Yeah, sure, we can.
What did you say there, Crit? You find it hard to believe because we'd have
There
to
we
throw
go.
away all of what away? Like what?
Yeah, I for me, I'm not really gonna start doing the 10% rule that quick. I guess whatever Mr. Lagerman called it the ceiling. Yeah, for me that would be like, hey, technology. You know, like some sort of weird buzzwords like like all this technology was developed using a globe model in mind. It's quite the opposite, actually. It's
No,
designed to be
math and science.
If the shape of the
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. If the shape of the planet was pertinent to that technology, then yeah. But like the invention of a tire doesn't depend on, the shape of the planet. So
Right. Neither does
You're
the
not making
invention
sense.
of geometry or science. Just the scientific method.
well a new
having to
geometry.
do with the shape.
You had to invent a new geometry to make it work. The original geometry was just fine on flat Earth. You had to do this spherical geometry to make it to try to get the numbers to line up.
you're talking about non-Euclidean geometry,
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
Well, do spheres not exist? Even if the Earth were flat, spheres would still be a thing. So non-Euclidean geometry would still be applicable.
Well, where do you see a sphere? Show a sphere.
Your basketball.
Any
Droplets,
type of
water
ball
droplets.
that exists, dude.
Yeah, I just said show one. Give us a look at one.
Come on, show me a plane.
Basketball?
Are you not in front of a computer, Spurs? Because I'm driving right now. I assume you know what a basketball looks like.
Oh, I thought you were
Or
talking about.
baseball, cricketball, football, take your pick.
I was gonna say football because he's in Europe, right? So
You do see spheres in nature, though. I mean, they're obvious.
I thought you were talking about planets
Yeah,
and
Apple.
in the sky, things like that.
Well, then you see those two.
Stars,
I'll give you that.
yeah.
That's good. That's a good point. We have those two.
The sun is a sphere.
That was the Death Star
Right?
and
No,
Endor.
the point is that even if the Earth was flat, non-Euclidean geometry can still be a thing because other spheres do still exist.
Yes.
The
There
whole
are,
idea of making a curved line straight, that's the problem.
are things in nature that are round and or spherical.
Right, that's kind of a careless thing to say. I think all technology is just built to be useful, not because the Earth is a particular shape.
Yeah, most of the stuff would work even more so on the flat Earth, which is why a lot of the stuff is dumbed down. Basically, the 10% rule.
no, I disagree with that. It will not work on a
how
flat
would
Earth. That is an
stuff- how would
absolute
stuff work?
misnomer.
Yeah, how would it work better on a flat Earth?
On the
That's a
flat Earth, you
ridiculous
have to
statement.
say the sky is magic because nothing in the sky works on a flat Earth. So.
We don't understand anything about anything, basically, that we can't physically touch, which is stupid.
Whenever you start asking flat earthers any specifics about how this works on the flat Earth, they always just say, "Who knows?"
Yeah, it really shows the strength of the flat Earth side, where the globals say they know. Then you ask them, well, how do they know this?
It's funny, man.
Yeah, it's like, how do you know this? Oh, I just know because
What'd you say, Globe? That was funny.
Crit,
Yeah.
ahead, though.
it's like a not a simple question, but what would be something that you would consider would work better on a flat Earth opposed to a globe? What do you mean by that? And do you have an example?
Well, I mean, yeah, until I look at this thing about tides, I can still go with tides. But I gotta look at that later.
What does tides have to
Do
do with
they-
technology?
Do you know that some of the tides are shallow?
Thank you.
Denmark, do you know why they're tides?
Can you show me why there are tides on a ball? No, I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Denmark won't be able to tell you what he'll say. Is
I'm not
he'll
going to
use
tell
a
you it's the
paper plate with
moon.
water and
I would say it was more to do with the wind and electrical conductivity of the water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the pressure of the
Electrical
water.
conductivity of the water.
Yeah, and the pressure that the water ensues on everything around it.
Oh,
The
Jeremy,
pressure of the amount of water that's not shallow when it's a 7-mile portion of water. That's a lot of water weighing down and putting pressure on something.
Don't forget
There is a reaction there, guys.
Don't forget the magnetism of salt water.
Exactly. Don't forget electricity.
Why are tides in
Electrical
pods, man?
magnetism, same thing. Why you guys laugh when you're too ill-informed to comprehend it? When you guys bring your word salad like globes that aren't presentable. Hold on. You have gravity that's not
Why are we letting
predictable.
Demok steamroll over this?
Gravity's word salad, right? You guys are so scared to get a basketball and put little sticks on it at every fucking fourth of an inch.
Your inability to
Listen,
understand gravity is your own problem.
your inability to get a ball and show what you're talking about's not my problem.
Sure, we got the Earth. There you go. Problem solved.
I think it is your problem.
Yeah, problem solved. You don't have a ball. Welcome to Flat Earth, guys.
Wow, brilliant.
So anyway, so what makes a tide in a 3-foot portion of the ocean now? So what does the moon do to a 3-foot portion of the ocean that's shallow? Can you show us how a tide works on a ball?
Veach, you want to reference that link again?
Hello? Guys, ballers, spherical earthers, can you show me how your spherical earth holds water and has a tide? Hello?
I
Crickets.
can't show you anything, moron.
Yeah, I like the
Now I hear
quiz.
crickets.
Like you got these globalists all say they have the same answer. So what if someone who hasn't
That's not what that means, dude. Global
who hasn't read
a person that police and the
who hasn't read that article about tides and then quiz them and see how close they are to the narrative.
It's a chike.
You could. That's what you can do. You can ask a globalist one question, they answer it. Then ask another globalist another question. They answer it totally different
It's
ways.
almost as if the entire human population aren't all on the same page as far as knowledge. It's almost as
No,
if
that's called
everybody has their own
ignorance.
specialties in what they're
Let's
experiencing.
try. Knowledge is not ignorance. That's ignorance. When you don't comprehend or understand something, that's called ignorance. That's not called knowledge. So an ignorance of a non-presentable globe that's not presentable at any time, any way, any shape, any form. Yada yada, not presentable. What?
Let's test this.
Your imaginary Walt Disney World is yada yada. Cool.
Shut up, Disney.
Keep
So
talking, Demok.
let's test this. What causes the bottom-up obstruction on the sphere? All globers would say the Earth curve, right?
Some will say refraction. Some will say
you say
wave.
refraction, ether
Hold on, what's causing
band.
the what? I didn't hear you all the way, man.
I don't think a glober
What
would
causes
either
the
refraction.
bottom-up obstruction of, like, say, ships or the sun?
Air, waves, moisture in the air,
Funny how he was
and
asking
the
for
light.
globe Earth responses and only the
We
flat Earthers are responding.
we
Oh,
all
yes,
say
globers,
we all
I'm
say
sorry.
it's Earth curve. We say
that's
it's Earth curve. You say it's ether, air, perspective, angular size limitation, whatever
That's
you
what
have.
it is.
Human eye, lenses.
Yeah.
Geometric
so
shape. You're-
Well, we haven't seen a curve anywhere, so what
there's
else
no
can be?
consistency in your answers.
Look
Never.
at the
I'm
geometric shape.
confused about your imaginary curve, Mo man. Can you show me it?
I bet if you ask
Yeah, sure, we can show you pictures of the Earth, but you're just going to deny it as CGI
Show
anyway,
me
so
a
what does it
picture of
matter?
the Earth. Is that your curved hump of water in between two cityscapes?
Listen,
Is that your curved hump of water in between a landmass and another landmass that's 80 miles apart or 100 miles apart or 50 miles apart?
Your questions can't be
Left to right curvature that
Are we going to
matches
get some
front
moderation
curvature.
in here or what?
Yeah, because we're talking about a spherical sphere that's equal everywhere around, proportionate. And you guys are saying that you can look some way and get a spherical fucking happening, but not look left and right and get the same thing. Show me how that's possible, Globers.
Another example would be gravity or downward force.
Yeah,
that'd be another one
imagination.
to ask flat earthers, and then you'll get a number of different answers.
Yeah,
Global
like your
telling you
imagination for all those.
Space time. It's mass attracts mass.
Yeah, you
What else
can
do they say?
use both
relative-
of those at the same time.
Well, we don't have a ball anywhere, so when can you show us this shit?
Claim that those are mutually exclusive is
No,
ignorant.
you're making a claim you have a ball that exists that's been warped by gravity. Can you show us that? Can you
I'll
show us
give
a
you
ball
the
be warped by gravity and formed? If you
a
can
ball
do that,
warped
then
by
we can believe
gravity.
the Earth did it.
When you put together a
Yeah,
coherent question, I'll
space
give you
and
a coherent
time
answer. How about that?
warping with no resistance in a vacuum.
When you give us a
water and
coherent
dirt and
question,
soil.
Demok, I'll give you a coherent
Well,
answer.
we have the word ricochet and
Demok, what
resistance.
formed your plane? Demok, what formed your plane if you want us to prove gravity forming a sphere?
What formed it? Not the word gravity.
Has it always been there?
Not the word gravity.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
so
the dirt's
word
probably
gravity
been here
didn't form
before
a
the
sphere
guy
either,
who made the
so-
word gravity, right?
Yeah, the word gravity didn't form a sphere.
Right.
Yeah.
No, so
one says that it
no
did.
retarded man that made some dumbass word salad words and coughed up some
Force
puke
that's denoted by
and
gravity.
made anything happen. They just see what happens and they try to fucking write it down. If
Yeah,
they're too
that's how you
retarded,
get that
if they're too
equipment you're
retarded to
using
write the
right
right
now.
thing
People
down,
just throw
guess where
things
that leaves
together,
you?
their ideas.
Einstein, Newton, retards.
You still haven't answered the question, Demok.
Listen, if your retarded people wrote down
Right, just
retarded
talk-
Can't
shit
answer
and you're
questions. He's
following
just playing
retards,
pigeon
you're
chess.
following retards.
Demok, you still
You're
haven't answered the
following
pointless to
question.
retards.
even
You're
try to
reading
talk to him.
you're reading a writing of a retard like, hey, this guy was so
I got
smart,
turned down.
but
I
he
know
was retarded.
that's a great opinion that you have. You still haven't answered the question.
No, it's a great opinion that you and Newton have. But
No,
you still
again,
haven't
you
proven
still
a
haven't
ball
answered the
yet. You
question.
still haven't shown us a ball being warped or
Are you
bent
going to answer
or
the question,
space
or
or
can we move
time.
on?
Wait, we can move on.
The question
Stand
of
in
what
this book. Have you
Okay.
guys read it? I feign
question of
no
what
high.
forms a
your
ball?
plane? No, what forms your plane?
He has never
The
answered
dirt.
a question before. Why do you think he's going to work this?
The dirt and the
itself.
water
The dirt.
form itself.
The
Path of
dirt,
least
it forms
resistance,
itself.
motherfucker.
Yep.
Get in where you fit in.
There you go. That's
Get
Demok's
in where
answer
you
to
fit in.
how the plane of Earth was formed. Dirt and it formed
It's a bleeding
itself.
effect.
That's a great
It's a bleeding effect,
explanation.
guys. The
Crit,
path
do
of
you
least
agree with that?
resistance.
Yeah.
Crit, do you agree with that
There's
explanation?
so much audio chaos. I can't make out heads or tails of who's saying what.
So it seems
fond of dirt.
Yeah, it seems that Demok said the plane of Earth was
The dirt
formed
and water form themselves. What do you mean? If
Yeah.
you die,
Crit,
you pile on the dirt.
agree
It
with
gets
that?
formed. Everything that dies builds dirt. What do you mean? It's not gravity.
Okay, Crit, do you agree with that?
Still, it was too much audio chaos. I'm missing something in there. I hear you keep saying, "Do you agree?" As he's trying to explain what I'm supposed to agree with or disagree with.
They asked me how the world was formed, and I told them it's not formed by any retarded word that man makes. It's formed by dirt and water. You know what I mean?
Forming
Yeah,
itself.
They would probably call that word erosion.
Demok, you know that dirt is a word made up by man.
Yeah, but you can stand on it.
Do you
You
believe in
can't stand
plate
on
tectonics?
space-time.
Do you believe we have like?
Can you stand on space-time?
You can't stand on
Can
water.
you stand on gravity?
You could fall into dirt and water too.
Come on, man. Let's stop being fucking retarded here. You know what dirt is. You eat it.
Crit, would you agree with Demok's position?
Please, Demok.
Crit. Would you
Yeah,
agree with
go ahead.
Demok's explanation?
That Earth is made of dirt and water. Yeah,
No, not
pretty
made
good.
of. It was formed. The plane
by-
Earth was formed by dirt and water forming itself.
Oh, like its own agency. Yeah, I wouldn't say no. I would go that dirt and rock, if just left there, won't form into any shape whatsoever. It'll just sit there.
Funny, rock won't even form soil without
Erosion, right?
no, without life. Soil. It's got organic compounds in it. Well, I guess dirt may not be that defined a word. Yeah, you could get it from erosion.
A number of processes.
Moyok, you are still trying to explain that in a rational way. Forget that. Demok doesn't need that. It's like dirt piled on each other, and that's just formed that is what it's naturally doing. And I would like to know if Crit agrees with that.
Yeah, there's density and buoyancy of dirt.
Forget that. It's density. It's dirt on like woo-wooing around or something.
It forms itself. It has a conscious where it's going to form itself. That's what we get.
No, I said
When you
exact
die,
opposite.
when
I
you
said
when
dirt
you
doesn't
die,
have
you
that.
also form dirt. When you die, you form dirt. You are dirt or something. Whatever.
I mean, if dirt is falling down, why did it stop? Why didn't it fall forever and not form anything?
It's a good question.
Piling up on the floor of heaven. Earth is just the sweepings from heaven. Dead god skin cells and stuff.
I mean, you can't even prove reality exists, so we kind of can't do anything.
Now, Chris, I guess the question I would have for you is how would you say everything works better on the flat Earth? It seems to me that like 24-hour sun in Antarctica would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
Got to prove it that first.
That would be a huge problem. That would be a game over. That would be game set. That would I'll tell you right straight up. That would be game set match, right? It would something interesting is going on here.
So what's wrong with the evidence we have?
You can't go past the 60th parallel. You can't even get close.
You know what kind of shit goes on in Antarctica?
Says if you follow the procedures, you go out, you get your permission.
You do it, not me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know that the ice cubes change colors to blue and purple and green and stuff.
But you cannot, insofar you are right, you cannot, if you are a destroyer of a navy, then you cannot go beyond that and make your exercises. And if you are an aircraft carrier, you can also not go there, right? But if you are a person, then you can go there.
No, you can't.
Are you
Only
an
in a
aircraft
tube
carrier?
so far below the ground could you tunnel yourself in a tube, and you'd have to heat your tube the whole way, and you'd have to go build your tube from the inside out and keep boring it forward, and keep it capped off as you go. That's what you'd have to do to go anywhere you want in Antarctica. And carry fuel along the way.
That's awesome, Dallas Dave. We're gonna move on with something better. Chris, why are we unable to go to Antarctica? You say we can't go, so why?
I got you. What answers have you heard before? I mean, I can. This is basically like to help you, like an expert speaking. Like if you bring in someone who really knew this stuff. What have you heard before, and what has stuck?
Well, I don't really care what's been said before.
I can't help you. I know you've heard answers to this question.
My understanding.
I can't help you.
My understanding is that it's just like going to any other country.
I can't help you.
I know that you like to interrupt me because you have nothing good to say and you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. But I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to talk. I'm talking. I'm talking now, Crit.
Can't help you.
So now, my understanding with Antarctica is just like any other country that you go to. You need special permissions, such as a passport, such as the reason you're going. Things of that nature. If you go to New Zealand, there are even more special permissions. Now with Antarctica, you do have to get a special permission to go there, but there's nothing that says you can't go there so long as you follow these guidelines, just like traveling to another country. Is that true or not?
Yeah, go there naked.
Go find out.
What? No, you said we can't go there, so I'm asking you. You.
Don't ask me because I offered you what answers have you heard before. You say you've never heard any answers before. So I can pretty much predict that any answer I give you, you pretend like you didn't hear anyway. Because you're just going to pretend.
Don't pre-assume, man.
Yeah. What I'm getting from you.
What I can offer you at this point is just go to the sources. Go try to jump through these hoops.
It's like you don't have.
Try to find out what permissions you need to get, who gives them, and what you do.
What I'm getting from that, Crit, is you're saying we can't go there, and I ask you to expound on that. And then essentially what you're saying is, I have no fucking idea why I think that. Okay, so why don't you jump through hoops and find out? That's what I'm getting from it.
I offered you two things. Try again.
I mean, there's cruises going to the Antarctica, and you can take them easily. I mean, no one says you can't go.
You offered it, then you took it back.
Also, like as far as
fucking Metallica played in Antarctica.
You can go to Antarctica on a cruise, or you could also just go up to the 60th parallel and look at the 29 hours of 23 hours of daylight. Or you go to Australia, see the 18 hours, or you go to South America, 14 hours, or you can go to South America and see 16 hours. All of those things are flat Earth killers.
But there are things which are forbidden in that Antarctic Treaty. It says, Article 5, any nuclear explosion in Antarctica and the disposal thereof radioactive waste shall be prohibited.
Oh, shit.
Shit, right? Horrible. You cannot go there and ignite a nuke.
I just find it strange.
What about
when-
going down there and killing whales for scientific research? How's that going?
I just find it strange where people are so committed and convinced that we can't go there, and when you ask them why, they have no fucking idea why.
I find it strange that people say you can go there, then you ask them will they, and they don't. They don't even try. They don't even try this.
I can go to
Because
China,
you're
but
the
I'm not
one
going to go
that
to
cares
China
about
for any
going.
reason.
Crit,
Go
you're
ahead
the one
then.
that cares
Leave me
about
out of it.
going.
Yeah, leave me out of it.
I can go.
Go
I
do
can.
you.
I can go to China right now.
Sure.
I can
Go-
go there
okay.
with special permissions, but I'm not going to go there because I
Okay,
have
then
no reason
forget
to
it.
go
Factor
there.
it out of the equation. If it's
Then-
some place you cannot use as a data point,
Okay,
you
Chris.
need to leave it out.
There's
You-
no reason that we can't go. That's the point. And then when I ask you why, you have no reason as
Yeah,
well.
I offered you a couple of reasons, a couple of things to
It
go,
only accepts. It
and
only
you won't
accepts
accept
the
them.
places
So at
where-
this point,
You offered me to go there. That's not a
no,
reason I
didn't
can't
offer
go
that.
there.
What answers have you heard before?
So then, Crit, what was your reasoning that we can't go to Antarctica? Restate them.
Okay, what have you heard before about the reasons?
That does not answer the question.
Okay, then I can't help you. I can't help you, dude.
So in other words, you don't have reasons. You
No,
just
go
lied
ahead.
to everybody in this VC.
Can't
You
go
can say
beyond
you believe that
the.
if
We
you
can't.
want to.
He
You did
said.
not.
He said we can't go
Lied.
beyond the 60th parallel.
Yeah, you can believe that if you want to.
No,
I told
Spurs,
you can't
Spurs.
go past the 60th.
Why?
Spurs, you're
So
wrong
you can't
too.
even get past the 60th to even get there.
Why?
That's like
Why?
a whole third of this bottom
you're just
hemisphere.
making-
Why?
Temperature and
Hey,
government.
Chris, stop making excuses. You just
And
answer
who
the question,
owns it?
man.
You guys keep failing to understand who owns Antarctica.
Hey, Demok, if you could not
you're
talk,
acting
that
like
would
you
be
can't buy
awesome.
land.
Demok, if you could stop
Well,
talking,
if you
that
could
would be
not be a
awesome.
retard, right? Hey, get out of your high chair.
Kim could do his
Oh, I'm
job.
in a
though.
nice
the
little
baby-
couch. It's
puke up
comfy
the
as fuck, bro.
applesauce. Hey, get out of the high chair, buddy.
Here,
Listen.
we can ignore Demok. That's fine. But Crit,
yeah.
why can't we go past?
No.
Okay,
the
I've
you
offered
can't
you the
ignore
same
reality.
thing 3 times in a row. At this
Which one
point,
of you
I'm
fucking-
going
you
to
can-
you're
you're
not-
You literally
wrong.
offered nothing. Crit,
You've got
Which
something
one of you
wrong.
can go there and
offering
set up
nothing.
shop and do what you want and set up a store whenever you want and do what you want willy-nilly in Antarctica? Go do it
Demok,
right
why
now.
are you still talking?
Why are you still talking?
Because
Worthless
I'm
rock?
interrupting your stupid ass.
You're a
Because no
worthless
one is interested
motherfucker.
in the fucking bullshit that you have to say.
Oh, yeah,
We're
what
trying
you
to
said
listen
is
to Crit
Demok don't
hop
talk.
around the answers.
So we got a CIA pussy actor cunt
Moderator.
talking about Demok
Oh,
don't
you're so
talk.
triggered.
Yeah, you're sloppy, just like your fucking
Okay,
ignorance.
okay, Demok.
Yeah, okay, sloppy bitch. You got any
Okay.
original thoughts?
You're so triggered.
Got any
Do I
original
have
thoughts
original
you're gonna
thoughts?
fucking
You're the
awe
one
us
throwing
with?
out bullshit, calling everyone a retard for no fucking
Do
reason. I'm the
you
one with
have
no
any
fucking
original thoughts,
I
you
actually-
retarded fucker?
You know what original thoughts?
You
I would like to
fucking
hear
retard.
Crit's explanations for why we can't
You
go to
parrot.
Antarctica, which he
Hey,
has not
parrot.
yet given.
Hey, Parrot, want a cracker? Paulie,
Hey, Crit, you got any
got
answers?
any original shit?
Hey, Demok, shut the fuck up. Crit, you got any answers to the questions that you've been asked?
Yeah, like I thought.
I got
We're dealing
one
with a
for
bunch
you.
of 3-year-olds.
You guys aren't giving him a chance at all. How about
This is really how this will work out.
Demok's not,
let him talk.
Demok's not giving anybody else a chance to talk. He's just fucking throwing
probably
ad
because
homs
you're
after
saying
ad
nothing
homs
but
out with
nonsense.
nothing of value to offer to the conversation.
It's ridiculous.
Nah,
Give him a
Demok just
chance.
interrupts.
Shut up.
He just interrupts people.
I
It's
bring
pointless.
common sense to
Everyone's
this.
just ignoring him.
You don't
because
bring
he's
jack
just-
shit, Demok. You don't bring
See,
jack
you guys are
shit.
still
So
doing
shut the
it.
fuck up.
You're still doing
Someone bought Antarctica just like they bought the fucking North Alaska. They bought everything else. They bought other shit. The Swordla, whoever, they bought it for $1. And what are you guys talking about? You're telling me people can't buy land? You're
So,
telling
Crit,
me
do you
a
have an answer to the
Rockefeller can't
question?
own
it.
Antarctica?
Yeah, Atlantic Peace Treaty was all the major governments bought.
I can't help you.
From
That's my
who?
answer.
Already owned.
Who
There's
owns
no-
it?
So Crit,
Who
repeat
owns
after
it?
me.
can't
I
help
don't
you.
know
I
what I'm
can't
talking
No,
about.
a government saying
help
I will
you.
not go there does not mean they own it.
So Crit, be honest and just say I don't know what I'm talking about.
I
I
can't
just
help
made it
you.
up.
I
So
can't help you.
repeat after me, buddy.
If I
I
tell
don't
you
know
I
what
can't
I'm
go to
talking
Mexico
about.
and I have a treaty to not go to
Crit,
Mexico,
it's okay.
it doesn't
It's
mean I
okay.
own
You're
Mexico.
in a safe space. With the exception of
Mexicans
Denmark,
own
you're in a
Mexico.
safe space. It's okay to
So
admit
if
you
America
don't know
made
what
a
you're
treaty
talking
to
Yeah,
not go
I
to
can't
Mexico,
help you, dude.
Right, because you can't even help yourself. Because you don't know
There
what
you
you're
go.
talking about because
Okay.
you made it up and you've just admitted to
Unconditional
making it up.
acceptance. There it is, right there. Unconditional acceptance.
Move on. Sorry.
You said we can't go there. Now you're not giving an explanation.
show
You
us
made it
all
up.
the fucking tours you got going
Demok,
all the
why
way
are
through.
you still talking? No
show
one's
us the
listening
road
to
that
you.
goes all the way through Antarctica
Demok,
from
stop
point A to
talking.
point
No
B
one gives a
live.
fuck about your childish
Hey,
fucking
just say-
bullshit.
Just let him to like one.
You mean
Man,
reality?
you got to give the other
Okay, then.
side of the argument a chance to retort. Chill out.
No, here's the thing. I'm trying to give the other side of
He
the argument a
doesn't
chance to
have
talk.
nothing but-
I want
No, you're
Crit's
not. Bio,
no. Listen, I want Crit's
you're even
explanation
bio.
for why we can't go to Antarctica. His only
I don't
answer to
even
that
know
is
who
I
Crit
can't
is.
help you.
Fuck Crit. Let
Get in
Denmark
your
talk.
car and drive there.
Right, you don't know
stupid
who Crit
fucker.
is because Denmark won't shut up.
Fuck Crick. Let
Get
him
in your
talk.
car and drive to Antarctica if you think you can go there.
Oh, and now you think you're smart. Good job, buddy.
Oh, what? You don't need a boat?
Would you like to go to another
you don't
thing
need
without
special shit for the temperature? Oh, you
So
don't need
all
to
of a sudden
worry
a car
about
is a
anything?
boat?
Oh, so all of a sudden you got your airplane and your private jets and you're over there now?
Little boy.
You're
Did you not
saying
just
you
say
can
get in
go
my
there,
car and drive to
prove
Antarctica?
it. That's
Did you not
your
say get in my
claim,
car and
you
drive
can
to
go there
Antarctica?
willy-nilly.
Now you're bringing up boats. Good
It's
job,
your
little boy.
willy-nilly claim. You can go there
Oh, good job,
anytime you
little boy.
want.
Good job,
It'd
little
be
boy.
better if we don't
It's your
engage
claim.
Demok. Like, let him talk, let him complete what he's
Hey,
saying, but
Baldur,
it'd
it's
be
his
better if we
claim that
don't
he can go
engage.
there
Actually, gonna turn him
anytime he
down. He's
wants,
fucking annoying to listen
any
to.
way,
That too, yeah.
any shape. Get in your hot air balloon and go to Antarctica, pal.
And of course, Crit is quiet as hell now because he doesn't have an answer to the question
I
that was repeatedly
gave
asked of
you
him.
the answer four
No,
or five
you didn't.
times.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
no,
right,
you
here's
didn't.
my answer. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you listening? I cannot help you with this problem.
That is not an answer to the question.
Okay,
Good
that's
job.
my answer, though. Do you hear my answer?
Yeah,
So
that's his
in
answer.
other words,
Okay,
when
so
you
do you hear
said,
my did
so
you
in
hear
other
my
words,
answer?
so in other
No,
words,
no,
when
in
you
these
said that we
words.
can't go, when you said
in
no,
these
my
words.
turn, my
In-
rebuttal,
no,
my
no,
rebuttal, my
in-
rebuttal, my
in
rebuttal,
these
my rebuttal, my rebuttal,
No,
my rebuttal.
I don't hear
So
your
when
rebuttal.
you
I
said,
can't help you.
when
At this
you
point, I
said
can't help
we
you.
What a
can't go to
parrot.
Antarctica,
Can't help
you
you,
don't
dude.
have an actual reasoning for that.
Yeah, I
You
do,
made
but
that
I-
up.
You can't comprehend even simple words.
Well, you
How am I
didn't give
going
an
to
explanation. You
How am
didn't
I
give an
gonna even
explanation.
attempt that?
You can't say I can't
Are
comprehend
you
something
talking
when
to
you
us
don't give an
live from
explanation, Chris.
How
Antarctica?
am I going
That's
to
my
how am I going to
explanation.
formulate my
Boom.
question or my answer when you can't even answer
I
a
thought
simple
you just gave
question?
it. I thought you just gave it.
Yeah, ready? If you can answer this, I will be able to help you. What answers have you heard before about this topic?
I'd like to interrupt
None.
1 second here. Crit,
None. See, I
Crit.
can't help you.
Crit, could you come down to 1v1 and like we can get a little semblance of order in there?
What?
Would you come down to 1v1 where we can get a little semblance of order without too many people chiming in?
Oh,
That'd
I
be
can
more-
leave. if-
No.
if you
I'm
want
asking
to.
if you'd like to come down to 1v1.
No, I'm good, dude.
Okay, you.
I don't really
You
even
want to
want
be in the
to-
shit fest. Okay.
No, I just let it go. I just want to listen mostly.
I think it's very clear the answer we got.
Yep.
It might not be sufficient for what most people want and what most people accept as a why not. But the answer has been given a couple times. I think we can move on. No progress was made at all. I think it's just where we are.
Fair enough.
In risking the sanity here, I am still interested in what technology would work better on a flat Earth than a globe. I'm still wondering about that.
How about compasses?
What would be the issue?
Do you call that? Would you think a compass is a technology?
Yeah, that's fine, but I
Okay.
think it would work perfectly well on a sphere. I don't
So
know.
yeah, okay. So look at your sphere model, right? And I'm standing on the ball right here, and I point my compass to magnetic north. Am I pointing a line through the Earth, or am I going just towards magnetic north on a straight plane?
Well, how I'm imagining a magnetic field is not through the Earth or on the surface. It's an orientation of fields that extend outward from the surface. So on a globe, it would not be an issue. Just like on a flat
Yeah,
Earth,
but-
you're right, it wouldn't be an issue as well. I don't
Yeah.
know how it would be any more accurate or better. I think they would just both work sufficiently.
There's an
Yeah,
odd
you've got
ob-
these magnetic dead zones that
There's an
are
odd
all over the
obs-
place.
There's an odd observation though that we can make with the compasses. In the southern hemisphere, the south side tends to point downwards, and in the northern hemisphere, the north side tends to point downwards. So using that same piece of equipment, you can find that there's an odd effect that doesn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah,
Defies
because the
logic.
compass is aligning with magnetic flux lines, and those magnetic flux lines change in angle depending on your latitude. In relation to the surface of the Earth, the angle of that magnetic flux line is different on different latitudes.
In fact, you can make a vertical compass and actually pretty much deduce your latitude.
Compass. All compasses point to the center, the Earth.
Now,
Come on, Stone. We're actually at a good spot of discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so any thoughts on that, Crit? You still here, Crit?
Yeah, I'm here.
Any thoughts on that? That the compass actually has a little bit of a problem on a flat Earth that is answered better on a globe.
No, I'm not. I haven't witnessed that at any time I've ever used a compass.
You've never heard of a weighted compass? Do you know why they weight compasses?
The ones I've ever used, they're floating on a thing, a needle. You have to be careful not to get too close to your body because metal on your body can throw off the reading. You actually, if you do like a heading, when I did this when I was in the army, you had to ground your rifle and take a few steps away from it.
So you probably don't notice, but compasses, well, precise compass is not one that you'll get in a Cracker Jack box, but like a real navigational compass that would be used by, like the military or something. They're weighted for different hemispheres. So a northern hemisphere compass has a weight on the south end of the needle because of this dip, because these magnetic flux lines get more and more vertical as you approach the poles. Okay, because the compass needle, the magnet in the compass is aligning with the magnetic flux line. It's not pointing to a direction. It's getting in line with a flux of magnetism, a flux line of magnetism. And that goes towards the Earth more and more as you go further towards the poles. And that's why they have these weighted compass needles, to prevent that deflection.
As indicated here in this little diagram, this is an actual device. Or it represents an actual device. It's actually drawn.
Yeah, not what I've seen. I've seen all the military compasses is just one Dodak number. There isn't multiple Dodaks to cover where you are on Earth. You just order an M2 compass, and that's what you get. It's now M2 compass Dodak number X, M2 compass Dodak number Y. It's all one compass. This is a military that is around the Earth, everywhere.
So what about the dip angle on the dip angle compass?
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of hooey. I don't know. If you post a link, I'll look at it when I get a chance.
The link was posted at 3:37 by Terman.
Yeah, so if you can, I would say this: if you can get the military to start using these weighted compasses,
they don't need it. They use GPS. They use compasses, but
yeah, no,
they don't use dip
Force.
angle compasses.
Yeah, they use Blue Force. They don't use GPS.
There's some kind of compass on jets as well when you get your heading. They're still used. I don't think they're primarily used. I think there's better technology, but they still use it here and there.
Don't they use centrifugal compasses on ships?
Ships, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Kosho, maybe.
But now, what do you? I said that you get 24 hours, son. You said that's a definite flat Earth killer.
Yeah, that'd be a game over.
Now, so what would you?
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Shut up.
For me, it would.
It would not be a killer.
Jeremy, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to somebody else.
Well, I'd like to hear Jeremy explain why. Because I must be something I'm missing.
This would be great.
Yeah, let me explain the Chris.
Shut the fuck up, Jeremy. I was talking. I'd like to finish my question.
All right.
My question was...
I don't have the answers. Just go with that.
My question was...
I don't have an answer.
No, you do have an answer.
No, I don't. I have no answers right now.
Oh, God, you are such a cunt, aren't you?
That's fine. He's obfuscating
Jeremy,
and he's dodging. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, I want to finish my question anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Moya.
Now, would it not be a globe killer or a flat Earth killer if it was 14 hours or 16 hours long on places where you could talk to people every day? People who live in Australia, New Zealand, South America all experience days well in excess of 12 hours in the Southern Hemisphere.
All right, let me explain to you why it's not a flat Earth killer now. They have a model of this, how the sky works, which is based on this. If you see this, then it's a globe. But that's all dependent on their model of the sky. They have a very fixed box they're stuck in with how the sky works.
Now, the only way to explain the observations on the flat Earth is to say the sky is magic and it has characteristics that are magical, that are not physically possible. They're self-contradictory, like the fact that the sun moves faster on the Tropic of Capricorn, even though when we measure it, it actually moves slower. The subsolar point has a slower velocity compared to that on the equator, even though on the flat Earth it would have to move faster. So it's just a magic that the two don't coincide, that it travels a larger distance in the same amount of time. It's just
So like I said,
it's just an unsolvable conundrum. The same reason with, well, how does the sun rise in the southeast instead of in the southwest in the southern hemisphere? And the answer to that is the sky is magic, and the sun may appear somewhere, but it's actually somewhere else. It just magically looks like it's a different direction than it actually is.
All right, just like I said, Craig, if you stick with their model of the sky, they're in a fixed box. They can't get out.
Yeah, so that's Jeremy's answer. Really Jeremy's answer is.
I let you finish and didn't interrupt, Jake. What's up?
Yeah,
So
that
they're
works.
stuck in a very fixed box of how the sky works. So that's why they'll say things like, if there's 2 celestial poles, then it has to be a globe, or if there's X amount of sunlight in the southern hemisphere, it has to be a globe, because they think they know exactly how the sky works.
Well,
I've heard them say that the stars rotate different directions.
We're able to predict the exact time and location of every celestial object using the globe Earth model. The flat Earth cannot make any predictions. They have no explanation for it, so that's why they have to say that the sky is magic and who knows. So which do you want? You want a model that accurately predicts the exact time and location of every object in the sky based on a sphere and a heliocentric model? Or do you just want to say the sky is magic, who knows, and we're not even going to try to solve how this stuff works, and we'll just resort to the globe Earth geometry to explain how it works? How is that even irrational?
You can be stuck in their box of this is exactly how the sky works.
But Jeremy, how do you solve? How do you solve?
Finish or no?
Jeremy thinks outside.
I let you.
No,
finish,
I think I got this, Jeremy. Let me see if I can paraphrase what you said. So they'll say that the globe model predicts a counterclockwise rotation based off what the sky shows, but it doesn't. So there's a contradiction right there.
What do you mean a contradiction?
Yeah, because this idea that the other side, the other hemisphere, the bottom side, is rotating counterclockwise, but it's not. It's rotating clockwise. How do you explain that?
What do you mean? Are you this retarded? You're observing. You're looking at a different. You're looking in an opposite direction, and so it's rotating the opposite way. The same reason why, if you look at traffic going a one-way street, and you go on the other side of the street, the cars go from left to right to right to left. Do you not understand that?
No, I do. I've heard globalists. I thought you
understand that, right?
Yeah, I get it. That's
which is why when you're in the southern hemisphere, the sky appears to rotate the opposite direction. The same reason why when you cross the street on a one-way street, the cars appear to go from right to left to right.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about I've seen the memes, dude. I've seen the globe Earth memes where it shows flat earthers can't explain a counterclockwise rotation.
They can't. There is no way to explain it on a flat Earth.
So there isn't a counterclockwise rotation then? Or there is? Which one is it?
On a flat Earth map, the stars. On a flat Earth map, the stars would always. On a flat Earth geometry, the stars that are near the horizon when you go to the southern hemisphere should be traveling along the horizon. There's no reason why there should be a central point of rotation moving the opposite direction on the flat Earth. And it doesn't explain, and it doesn't, and the other problem is people in completely different parts of the world, like in Australia and South America and South Africa, they look south and they see the same exact constellations. When we're on the flat Earth, they'd be looking completely different directions.
Different time zones.
You can either go with them and be stuck in their box of exactly how the sky works, and that's it. Even
there's certain times of year.
Jake. All right.
He asked me a question.
Go ahead.
He asked me a question, bro.
No, I think I got
Jeremy.
you. Yeah,
Jeremy,
it's twofold. I think it's a misrepresentation of the globe model and a misrepresentation of.
Hold on a second. How do you explain the fact that South America and South Africa can see the same stars at the same moment in the same direction, south?
No, they're different times of day.
What do you mean?
There's same time when it's nighttime for both.
There's periods of time where it's nighttime in both locations, and they can see the stars at both locations. And one person,
but they won't see exactly the same stars.
Yes, they'll see exactly the same constellation.
Not in the same position either.
They'll look south. They'll look south and see the same stars.
They will be in a slightly different orientation in terms of the angle around a center point of rotation, but it'll be the same exact constellation of stars in the same direction.
They'll both be able to look south and see this the same constellation.
There's no explanation for that on a flat Earth. You have to say the sky is magic. Look, this has already been debunked many times by the flat earthers. They have to resort to the sky is magic. That's the only explanation is the sky is magic. I'm telling you.
So
there
what
is
would be
no
the-
physical explanation for this stuff other than the sky is magic on the flat Earth. That's the only explanation.
And the globe explanation is what?
Straw man argument? Did
How
he just
about a
straw
word?
man you?
How about
Jay,
a
the
word?
thing is, the Globers have a set way of how the sky works, and the flat earthers don't have a.
Yeah, don't you think that's a problem, Jeremy?
Fuck it.
Don't you think that's a problem where Globers have a consistent model that works, prediction-wise, confirmation of those predictions, that it works forever and it has this one explanation all the time? But more like instead of everyone having some type of different explanation with no proof, which isn't consistent at all, don't you think that having a one explanation is like a better just on that basis, a better standard of reality?
No, because
I'm not even gonna attempt to respond.
I know you're not.
Every time I talk,
Yeah, General
people
Patton
keep interrupting me like what's happening right now.
General Patton debunked that idea. He said if everybody's thinking the same thing, one person's thinking wrong.
But that's when it's talking about opinions. When you're talking about reality, there is only one explanation for reality. Now you might have an anomaly given certain circumstances, but if you describe reality, you're going to have one answer. Why would you have 5-6 explanations for one phenomena in reality?
So the stars are telling you the shape of the Earth? Is that what you're kind of getting to?
No. It's evidence. It's evidence towards the shape of the Earth. That's what.
But they're
it is.
kind
It's
of
not a
speaking
proof.
to you, right? The stars are giving you knowledge of the creation.
Giving us information
Yeah,
about
knowledge,
what
right?
we could be on, and it's not a proof. It's just evidence that it
See,
works.
I would say what you're doing here is a bastardization of astronomy, and basically call it astrology.
We can call it whatever you want. When we look up,
it's not something I would use as a go-to reference.
What we can
It's
do.
like I
That's a
would read my
hand-wave
horoscope.
Yeah, no, it is.
Dirty, dirty, you're
He's
in
also
the
not
box.
addressing the content, anyways. But what we can do is we can pose the presupposition of various shapes, of any shape. Pick a shape, any shape at all, and then let's see what the sky would look like on those shapes.
And then you have to know how the sky is working in order for this to be true. You're on a premise that you can't verify.
Right. But like I said, Jeremy, there is no way to using the known laws of physics and the known laws of nature. You would have no way to explain these to make these observations all be consistent with one another, other than to say that it's all magic and it just randomly appears differently for different people. That's the only way to make any of this work.
There's another
Like
problem.
I said, Chris.
Jeremy just throws out these words, but he can't even tell you what he means by them.
Like I said, Crit, they're stuck in this box of how the sky
Right.
works, and it can only be this way, even though it's unverifiable.
No, it is verifiable.
Jeremy can't explain. You don't know how the sky works. He can't explain what that means.
It's a pretty
You don't
big
know
claim,
what's up
Jeremy.
there.
It's a pretty
I
big
can
claim.
explain it. You don't know what's up there, how it's working, how it's moving, the distances, what the objects are, nothing.
Jeremy, it's
We
a
can
pretty
try
big claim to say that we don't know, and it's
We can
unverifiable.
see what's
That's a
happening.
big claim.
We can map it out. We can gain knowledge from that.
Yeah, so I straight up retract my statement that a 24-hour sun in the south would be a flat Earth killer. Then, Jeremy convinced me.
Smart move, Crit. Smart move.
Yeah.
He convinced you with what? That
Because
Globers have
all
one
the
explanation,
counters-
but flat earthers have a million explanations.
No, because
So-
all the counters to his argument were Jeremy's dumb. Jeremy doesn't know what his words
So
he's
why-
saying.
why do
Jeremy
you-
is-
why do you
Literally,
suppose that-
all Jeremy said was that we're all stuck in a box. That was literally
why do you-
all he
why do
said,
you-
dude.
Why do you suppose 3 years ago the big talk was we're going to have a model, we're making a model, we've got the top minds in flat Earth, the leader of FE Corp, Chris Monk, he's building us a model, he's the Galileo of the flat Earth. Eventually he said no, it's got to be a globe. Why is it that 3 years later nobody talks about a model? Because why there's no possible way to explain any of this stuff on the flat Earth. There's no working system to make these observations on a flat Earth that are consistent with one another. There's no possible way, which is why nobody talks about it anymore and they gave up on it. Isn't that not a red flag?
No, I'll let you know why too. Because if you look up astronomy, it says it makes no claims of Earth whatsoever. Everything in the sky is independent from what they say the Earth is. Look it up. Look up. They call it the rare Earth hypothesis. It's
That's
the only
awesome, Crit.
hypothesis in astronomy.
That's not talking about Earth shape, is it? Is it talking about that Earth, the way it exists with life and the way that it operates within that realm? Isn't that what it's talking about, rather than
All
the shape
kinds
of the
stuff.
Earth?
Yeah, it's completely. Earth would be so much of an outlier that it's like not even referenced in.
And it's not even talking about the shape, right? It's just talking about it
It's
supporting
talking
life.
about life on Earth. It's specifically talking about abiogenesis on
You
the
don't
Earth.
even
It has nothing to
understand.
do with the shape
What a
of
waste
the
of
Earth.
fucking time.
Yeah, there it is again. I don't understand.
You don't. We just proved it right now. Your own, what you're claiming to be some type of source, your own claim to be some type of source, isn't even talking about the shape of the
show
Earth.
me a
It's
hypothesis
talking
in astronomy then. That's how you would do it. You wouldn't say, "Oh, you don't understand because you're dumb." You would present to me a hypothesis inside of astronomy as your showcase. Your showcase wouldn't be a foaming at the mouth.
Crit, I have a question for you.
No, I got no answers.
Hold on. Crit,
no
I
answers.
have a question for you.
No answers.
What is a hypothesis?
No answers. Remember, I told you no answers.
So what is a hypothesis, Crit?
Yeah, I got you. No answers.
Oh, so you don't even know what a hypothesis is,
Dude,
which means you don't know that it's not confirmed.
Me and you have a unconditional
which means
acceptance.
what you brought up, once again, is completely irrelevant.
All
you are doing, Crit, is proving just how fucking stupid
and
you
me
are.
and you have reached unconditional acceptance on that fact.
You agree?
What, that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Yes, we have.
There we go. So no answers. No answers, dude. Don't have. There's no reason for you to ask me anything ever again for the rest of your life.
Hey, Crit, what's your name?
Yeah, you don't need to ask me anything.
Hey, Crit, what name do you
unconditional
go by?
acceptance. It doesn't even matter.
Crit will give a good answer.
What answers have you heard so far?
Under
Crit,
different
what name do you go by?
circumstances, Crit will.
What answers have you heard so far?
Crit will give
Crit, what
an
name
answer.
do you go
Hold
by?
on, chill the fuck out.
That was
a
logical
question.
There's no progress. There's no progress. Crit's not going to give an answer to you specifically under these circumstances. He'd probably give answers under different circumstances. That's fine, but we can't force an answer. Let's just stop trying to repeat this and stop trying to force it. He won't give an answer. You can't force it. Let him answer for
I just
himself.
showed you why, though. He knows my name's Crit. He asked me what my name is. I asked him, what answers have you heard before? Because somehow you're not getting the information that's being presented. Let me help you.
No, you don't even know the information that you're presenting. You're talking about the rare earth hypothesis, and you don't even know what a hypothesis is. You brought it up, and you don't know what a hypothesis is. So I'm calling you out for your ignorance.
Jesus.
If literally the only answer you can ever give is I can't help you, then don't fucking talk.
Or don't ask me anything.
It's almost like they're communist agents, huh?
Then don't make any claims.
Oh, David.
Thank you. Don't make claims if you have no idea what you're talking about.
That's Rich coming from a glob.
Crit, specifically for what you said
From
about
the people who have evidence for their assertions percentage.
Yep, that's awesome. Crit, addressing what you said about astronomy and hypotheses and all these. I'm not talking about the stars and that as being a science. The exact example that I gave you earlier is that we could presuppose a number of shapes that Earth can be: a cube, a pyramid, a sphere, flat with depth. We can go all over these shapes, and what we can do is, what do we expect to see from the stars when we look up on these various shapes? That's what we can do. And what we can do when we do that is show that a sphere would be the best representation. It's not proof. It's not proof where it's like, this is set in stone. This is the thing. It's not.
Yeah, that's
proof.
what Jeremy
It's
said.
just very strong evidence.
That's exactly what Jeremy said.
Hold on. And when you do this, would you have to know how the sky's working and what's going on in the sky?
Just from what we observed. Just from what we observed, Jeremy. They could be car lights for all we care. If they're consistently the same each night throughout the year, we can just see what we would be able to observe.
So it doesn't matter if things are reflecting or getting magnified or anything like that.
No. If we see the same constellations and the same orientations every single night, if they're in the same orientation throughout every night for a year, each day we can say, okay, what would we expect these constellations, these stars to do on this particular shape? And then at different locations, what should we expect to see, et cetera, et cetera.
If you know how we would expect to see this if the sky was working like you think it is.
As long as we have constellations in the sky and it's moving.
Sky's not working like you think it is, then maybe that's not how it is.
Here's the question though. I can go buy a used GoTo telescope from the 90s, plug in the current time, date, and location on the Earth, and it will know exactly where to point that telescope to find any object I ask it to find, 20, 30 years later. What is the flat Earth? What is the flat Earth explanation for that?
I have an explanation for you if you can just listen for 1 minute.
You don't know how that works, Jake. That's their explanation.
I have an explanation for you. Jake, you know how I get my.
Go ahead, David.
You know how I get my car and I drive like every day. You know how the 24-hour sun starts up there in Alaska, right? You go up to what is that, Nome, Alaska? And see the 24-hour sun. So I just drive from Dallas, and I kind of just because it's not 24 hours a day when it's down here. So every day let's say it takes me 4 or 5 days, within 4 or 5 days, I can drive up to Alaska and see the sun out 24 hours a day, right?
If it's that time of year.
If it's that time of year, right? And then that's as far as I can go, right? And then the only other place that I could see this 24-hour sun is in Norway.
Oh no! You can see this 24-hour sunlight at particular latitudes.
No, there's only two places in the world that you can see the 24-hour sun.
No, that's false, David.
Have it in Finland. David is trolling. Don't bite too hard. Don't punish the BC with an uber autistic response to this. He's trolling.
Yeah, you know there's another country north of you, right?
You cannot see the 24-hour sun in Canada.
Why not?
Because the only place you can see it, the only place you can see it is in Alaska and Norway.
You can see it in Finland. I've seen
then
it.
come back when you have evidence of that.
Exactly. Finland,
You see it in northern Russia.
Come back when you have evidence of that. Show us your observations from northern Canada.
David, I've been in Svalbard and seen the 24-hour sun and 74 degrees north.
You're at half mast,
Svalbard, you can see it
You're
easily.
at half mast. Stand down, soldier.
I'd be willing to bet.
David.
I'd be willing to bet.
see it in the south, David.
I'd be willing to bet that Gypsy's seen it too. He works up North Canada.
North and south. I mean,
Did you go to that sea fault?
Yeah, that's a good point too. North of a certain latitude and
I
south of a
remember
certain
driving
latitude.
past it to get up to the plateau where the ground station antennas are.
Nice.
I didn't know what it was. I saw a sign. I looked up. Oh, that's what that is. I heard about it. I didn't know. I drove past it at the time.
I would like to visit Svalbard. It's a short flight from Finland.
You cannot see the 24-hour sun in Canada. That's not true.
Next.
How do you know that?
Did
you hear that?
You don't think I know how to research?
Yes.
Here, hold on.
I don't think you know how to research.
I want to see something real quick. Jeremy, do you think you can see the 24-hour sun in Canada, North Canada?
I don't care because you don't know how the sky's working, so it don't matter what you can see in the sky.
That was a good answer. Thank you.
See the sun in 24 hours. We don't know what it is, but we see it.
It's irrelevant. It could be reflection, magnification. Who knows?
Thank you for your argument from ignorance.
No, on the
let me hold on, Jeremy.
I'd rather.
But you acknowledge that we have a.
I think you know things that. Can I respond to that, Jake? I'd rather have an argument from ignorance than think you know things that might not be true.
Well, I just posted.
That's what ignorant means.
Well, shut up.
Every time, Jeremy. Can I chime in for a second?
We want to hear from somebody smart. Okay, who's smart around here?
That would be the people that believe the Earth is a globe.
I did a Google search.
Right, so we agree.
Got some results.
Canada, you cannot see the 24-hour sun. Prove to me you can see the 24-hour sun.
David, look at the voice chat. Look at the chat. Extremists posted something from ABC News showing a town in Canada doing a 24-hour light in Inuvik.
That was posted at exactly on the hour, like 2 minutes ago.
Every time Jeremy says something about how the sky is working, we don't know. He's alluding to what Jake said before. That flat Earth has to adhere to magic and to appeal to magic.
What? It's not magic? Aw.
For the record, that research involved using Google. That's the research I did. Even flat earthers can do that.
Well, it's not on YouTube, so I don't know if they'll take it.
Well, Google is part of YouTube.
Well, but that's all the corporate Jesuits, as Lemon would say.
God, oh God, I hate that word.
I giggle every time it's used.
Well, what you need a guy taking a video of the guy taking the video of the sun.
And on a live stream in a vacuum.
I always thought it was interesting too.
I like
that
the in a vacuum part. That's
but that's actually their standard of evidence.
Evidence that opposes their idea. Evidence that supports their idea, it's just pictures.
Rocket, you took that picture?
Yeah, that's one of my
Ballpark?
that's one of my pictures. Yeah, when I was there, I took that.
And you were nobody was making a picture of you taking that picture, and you were both not in the vacuum.
Sorry,
right?
there was no polar bear available to take a picture of me taking a picture of that. Yeah.
Of him chewing on you.
Vacuum. I mean, if we're talking about a small vacuum, I
Wait,
don't
wait,
know.
how much pressure did you have in your mouth? Did you hold your breath? Come on, there had to be pressure in there. What was your atmospheric pressure?
Can you not prove it's CGI? It's like I see on my computer screen. It must be CGI.
What I think is interesting is how people.
Ooh, a Polaroid. Nice.
Yeah, go ahead, Crit.
Okay. Well, it's interesting how you guys get cringy when people talk about the Jesuits. But it wasn't that many years ago, atheists were pounding the drum against the Jesuits.
Whoever Jesuits, I hate you right now.
No, about the Catholic Church, right? Is that to say that the first victory, I suppose, that atheism had to prove systemic problems inside hierarchies of religion?
I think it's just using the term, the historical factor of it. I think there is merit, but I think when it's used, especially by Lemon, it's normally around a conspiracy that he can't provide evidence for. That's why I giggle when that word's brought up.
Yeah, I got you. And it's interesting too, because if you look back at all this heliocentric stuff, it all comes from the Catholic Church.
Yeah, no, most of it does. Yeah, I think the most surprising thing is the Big Bang Theory from some
Copernicus,
priest or something.
The very first guy who offered a heliocentric model was a Catholic something or another. I don't know what his rank was, but he was pretty high up.
Right, and it is surprising when you look into it.
True.
But, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll take it at face value because I don't think it's that crazy to make the claim for it, especially given the Big Bang Theory where that came from. But I think that's I think that shows that we're not interested so much with the exact source. Like, I'm pretty anti-theist, but I do recognize the scientific advancements that the church has made here and there. But then the people of the church, what they've done, I recognize that, but that plays no part in the content of the information.
Well, for me, it would go to a person's worldview, like what they do with their corporal works. So you've got an ordained Catholic priest who essentially said he's married to God, never had a wife, never had a girlfriend.
Which is weird, in my opinion.
Yeah, his whole life was dedicated to the Father. And he comes up with a model of cosmology called the Big Bang. And really, he called it something else. But atheists at the time ripped on it, and they mocked it as a Big Bang because they weren't going to accept it. That if you look at the history of it, it's actually almost like a diss track of how it got its name.
I think that's anything scientific that's brought to the table that may not conform with what's already known. It is mocked at first, but as evidence is provided, then it gains traction, and I think that's again a good thing for science. Anything new should be mocked, and then when you test it yourself or when you look into it yourself and see the reasons why, then it gains that traction.
I would regard it as irrelevant who found it. The laws of inheritance were found by a monk, right? Johann Georg Mendel. Yet does that mean they are wrong? They are correct, right? Who found them is irrelevant.
The reason that a lot of priests and religious scholars were the scientists back in antiquity and back in the day is because they were the only ones that could read and write.
Well, that and money.
Well, even today, Louis Pasteur, he said that a little bit of science pushes you towards atheism, but all the science brings you right back to God.
Which is nice philosophically, but it doesn't mean anything. Not to me, anyway. But
He's the guy who
nice
basically developed germ theory, right?
No, yeah, good for him.
Okay, so he basically comes up. See, a lot of atheists will like to say God doesn't exist because look at these germs. There's no way God would create these germs. Well, the guy who invented germ theory disagrees with you profoundly.
Right, but he didn't create germ theory. He found it, and then he gave it a name. He gave it a name.
And he said, "Hey, I've all my study of this. I'm going to put my name to this idea, and I'm going to tell you it brought me closer to God, not further away."
Right, and that's how a lot of religious people are, even in the scientific community. I think it's still like 30 to 40% do claim a personal God. So it's not like weird to think that they would accept reality for what it is, but then mold it into still being able to believe in a God. It's not crazy. And it has nothing to do with the content of the scientific side of it. It's just that's how they operate day to day.
Yeah, like a separation. They actually know the scientific method and what it's used for. They're not going to like make claims in science that can't be adjudicated through experimentation.
Right. I think they would also preface their belief in a God as a belief rather than like a layman. I know because I have a personal experience or a personal relationship. I know he exists. I think it'd be difficult to find a person who would take a hard stance of I know there is a God and they are a PhD scientifically inclined. I think they would say it is my belief, my personal belief.
Yeah, well, quite the opposite of what Carl Sagan had said. Carl Sagan had said that atheism has to know much more than I do. I'm probably not getting the exact right, but to claim let's see how it go again. Like he basically said, atheism is stupid, is what he got down to it, because they have to make a claim they can't prove.
I'll look it up because I don't remember any Carl Sagan religious quotes or anything.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, he was pretty religious.
Most atheists today tend to say, "I don't know whether or not a God exists," but if I had to put my money on it, I would say no.
Yeah, I would never. I'm pretty anti-theist, but I wouldn't be able to ever say there is no God. I would just say you have not presented any evidence that would make me think that there is one.
Wouldn't that be agnostic? I mean, I don't really care about quibbling over the definition of atheism, but
are you agnostic over Santa?
I'd like to say I'm agnostic about the globe. I just haven't seen any proof of it yet. And if I try to test it, it comes up pretty bunk.
The term that I like is asymptotically atheist.
How have you tried?
Yeah, agnostics tend to just not care about the subject at all.
I don't know if that's the case.
I'm not saying whether or not that's the real definition. I'm just saying most people who tend to be agnostic, in my experience at least, just couldn't give a rat's ass about the discussion to begin with.
Really, here in America, there isn't any atheists. The ones that are pretty much isolated from the rest of society.
Crit.
Yeah.
Have you tried to test the globe, mate? You said you tried to test it, and it's come up bunk. Have you tried to test it?
Yeah, that would be like, well, I said I'm atheist towards the globe.
You said agnostic towards the globe.
Oh, okay, agnostic. There we go. Sure, whatever you want to hear.
Yeah, I know, but that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you how you tried to test it.
Okay, so then you first of all, what did you hear first?
Oh my fucking god!
Here we go again.
Can you answer for me, mate?
I'm trying. I'm really trying, dude. You got to work with me, man. Okay, we're talking about belief systems, right? Come on, man. You got to work with me here.
Crit, you said
I'm trying to, but this other guy keeps jumping fucking in.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Yeah, you got to work with me here.
You said you tried to test the globe,
and
but
what was the sentence right before that? The context matters, homie.
Come on, mate. You said you're agnostic towards the globe, and you tried to test it. You came up bunk.
Okay, so what does agnostic mean?
Well, what have you tried to test is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, but we've got to break it down step by step. Don't like grease the skid.
So you didn't.
So you can.
I mean, you can't answer that.
Okay, go with that. Unconditional acceptance. Boom. Done.
You can't answer the question.
As soon as you put a claim like that on the table, we're done. Boom.
What?
As soon as you put a claim in there about me, we're done, dude. That's it. It's over.
I didn't make any claims about you. I'm asking
you just said something I can't do. What can't I do?
I'm asking you person to person about what you said you did.
Yeah, and what did I say right before that?
What did you do?
Yeah, what did I say right before that? Context matters.
What's it matter?
Can't. There's just no way of getting
What's it matter what you said before that? You said you tested the globe.
Does context matter?
Well, what context did you mean that you tested the globe and it came up bunk?
Yeah, there's lots of things to that. And number one,
tell me what
I
the
said
context
atheism.
was.
I said atheism agnostic.
Y'all are making this more difficult than it needs to be. I mean, why? Why?
You're just being too tedious, mate. Very tedious.
No, it's okay. Sure, unconditional acceptance, right there. I'm too tedious.
So
Don't
you haven't
ask me
tested
shit.
it. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
You haven't actually tested
Crit,
it.
once again, full of shit.
You're a coward, Crit.
Have you done any tests to detect the shape of the Earth, and did they come up bunk when it was applied to a globe? Crit. Simple question. I've no context. I've not been in it.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah,
Just straight
lots of
out.
people have.
Now, have you?
Yeah,
What?
I measured sunset on a yardstick. I painted a W on a yardstick. I used basically the scuba technique that we talked about. I lined up military maps around. I got a collection of military maps all across America and tried to line them up and then draw where the pole would be.
Crit,
And it doesn't equal out.
what you did with the W on the yardstick with the sun?
What?
Can you explain what you?
No, because you already put a claim on the table. I'm a coward. So you can go pound sand, you fat piece of shit.
Well, did you call me sad or fat?
Yeah, go get a drink, Curve. Go have a
Did
drink.
you call me sad or fat? People here
both.
know I don't drink.
Go get a drink.
He said pound
Hey,
sand.
Crit, you're a fucking
No, I
coward.
don't drink.
Sand. See, look, you
Very
can't even get a
cowardly,
simple word
pathetic
out.
behavior, Crit.
Yeah,
Now,
I got you. Unconditional
Crit,
acceptance. Don't
why are
ask
you
me
afraid
shit.
to tell us what you did with the W on
I don't
the
need to
yardstick?
tell you because you haven't heard the first words that came out.
Crit, can you describe your experiment and why you feel it came
No,
up?
I don't
black
need
for
to.
the globe? So you have
Yeah, you
nothing.
kind of do.
You can lift
Okay,
off
go with
things
that.
at
Go.
any
Yep,
time.
unconditional acceptance. Go with that.
You guys are all attacking him. Why?
Go with it. I don't care.
Why are you attacking free thought? I'm asking him for what he did in his
You
experiment.
won't understand. I already know you won't understand. You haven't understand shit
Yeah,
so
Crit,
far.
what Democ said. Why are you attacking free thought?
And Crit, weren't you the one that was in here talking about how everyone is just giving you insults, and yet that's all you seem to be doing here right now.
What was the W on the yardstick about, mate?
What did I just say about it? It was about what? I actually gave. I explained it. What was it about?
No, you actually didn't.
Yes, I did. I actually explained it.
No, you actually didn't. You actually
I
didn't.
actually did. Okay, here I'll
I
give you
didn't hear
multiple
you.
choice. Here it is. Multiple
I didn't
choice.
hear you.
Was it
I
about the
didn't hear you.
sunset?
Can you repeat your answer?
Okay, multiple choice. Was it about the sunset or something else?
I have nothing to offer
I
you.
don't know.
There we go. Unconditional acceptance.
I don't know what you said. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I painted a W on a yardstick and held it a certain distance away, and then noticed when the sunset would happen based off that level of light.
Okay,
Does
anybody
don't
understand
understand.
that as an explanation?
Why a W?
Nope.
I don't understand that.
That's good.
Prediction.
Why would that
Can I-
make you convinced that the Earth is not a globe from that observation?
Well, so if you test the globe model in time and date or sunanddate.com and you're getting a different value, it would almost seem like the difference between twilight and nighttime is independent from the sun.
A different value for W?
No, W was what I would look at the yardstick.
Cthulhu, stop that, please.
He's vaping. He's not
Oh
trying to
shit!
be
I
funny.
didn't know my mic was on. My bad.
No, you're fine, dude.
They're not fun.
I think he recognized it wasn't a cool thing to do,
That
and
was
it
funny.
wasn't intentional.
So
let's leave it.
you paint a W on a yardstick. You watch the sunset, and then what value were you expecting?
What would you line up with the globe model for that? Let's see. If you can answer these questions, I'll keep entertaining.
No. The problem is I don't
Okay.
even know what you're trying to do.
I
You
can't
paint
help
a
you.
W. Let me finish.
Dude, I can't help you
Let
at
me
this point.
hold on.
Rick,
Now
come on.
who's coming to the acceptance? You said I painted a W on a yardstick. Okay, what does that W have to do with anything? What are you actually observing? I can't give you what would happen on a globe because I don't know what the hell you're trying to do.
What does
Let's
your
compare.
yardstick mean, Crit?
You haven't really unpacked it as an explanation. I mean, I don't know what the significance is. I mean, what I understand, I'll tell you what I understand is you took a yardstick and then you measured something to do with the sunset, but you weren't very clear what it was, and then you marked the yardstick with a W. For some reason, you used a W, but you didn't unpack why you used a W.
Was it a W?
And let me just finish. And I also
Okay.
don't understand the methodology behind what you're trying to observe. So if you can unpack what the hypothesis is, and then run through your method, and then we actually might have an understanding.
Yeah. So the hypothesis is: does sunset change with the way light works in a given area? In the controlled area was when I was at this timeshare I have in Florida.
Yeah.
And then I use a W because W is a leather that at a certain distance it can look like lots of different leathers. It's harder to make a W out than it would be like say like a
Oh,
okay.
I'm cool with that. I'm
I
cool
can't
with
even get through my hypothesis without someone starts screeching like a banshee.
Nobody's screeching like a banshee, sir.
I said I'm very cool with
can
that.
help you guys,
I
really.
was actually agreeing with you, Crit.
What do you mean you put a W out there? How far is a W away? What does a W signify?
Sightline.
Let him get to it.
No, I can. Actually, wait, hold on. I take that back. Okay, if someone's got a question, stop me right away, and I can break it down. That way, it gets really easy to start talking about the way the sun affects day and night cycles and how you can test that for the globe model because they actually put out predictions of this.
How big was your W and how far away was it?
Okay, what does that would be a controlled variable. It wouldn't matter.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that part wouldn't matter. It all depend on your eyesight and how much darkness you have available to you. So these things.
You're just saying basically when it gets dark, it's hard to see things.
Yeah, exactly. That would be my observation. Then my question.
What the?
Then my question would be, your research is like, why is it? So as the sun goes down, it gets darker. Is the amount of ambient light directly related to sunlight? Or is there other factors?
Or both.
Yeah, or both. Yeah, exactly.
Can I kind of try to cut to the chase here? Was your observation sort of like in the direction of the sun disappeared and I cannot see it directly, but I still can make out the W?
Okay, well, you guys know about, I do have kind of a legal background. This all came about with laws that I had read about where when it was required for people to turn their headlights on. And what they were doing with these is they were marking off distances on the road at where the signs could be seen. And in this scientific research, I guess, that the government used, they decided to use a W for some reason or another. I don't know why, so I just adopted the W also. I looked more into why to use a W, and apparently if you talk to optometry, they say the W is a unique leather that is hard to mistake it for other ones. Where like other leathers like O and A, like T, J, these leathers sometimes get mistaken even by people with good eyesight because they focus the way the eye or something, a whole bunch of other red herrings to it. So I decided, sure, based off the way the government did this experiment over here to determine when someone must put their headlights on to operate the vehicle safely, I'll adopt that same sort of methods and practices instead of just trying to reinvent the wheel. Is that something you guys can accept, or do you still want to go over why the W? Or why the
I have no problem with the W. What I have a bit hard time figuring out is what you are comparing it against, because, for example, timeanddate.com doesn't tell you when you should or shouldn't see the W.
What they would do is tell you when sunset happens.
Yep.
Right? They'll tell you on time and date, sunset happens here. So what I'll do is I'll make my own version of sunset, and I'll determine when the W was no longer really, I couldn't see the W anymore. Then I would compare the two. and they should be about the same deviation every time. They should be pretty damn close anyway. A little bit of variation because of multiple factors, but it should be close. I was getting variations of up to 17 minutes. I mean, that to me is a problem, because if light is directly connected to this ball of fire in the sky, why is there a standard deviations of greater than 17 minutes?
Clouds.
So wait. If I'm understanding this correctly, you put up the yardstick, you're observing the W, and then let's say tonight sunset fell at 6 p.m. and then tomorrow night sunset fell at 6:17 p.m. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, without presupposing the sun falling, I suppose.
Why couldn't you just look at the sun on the horizon? What is the yardstick doing?
The horizon is, like you've seen before, like people can zoom in on the horizon and the sun reappears.
Oh my God, this guy.
No,
it
doesn't. No.
If you rise in elevation, the sun would reappear, but not zooming in with a camera.
There's actually video of this. You got
No, there's not.
Yeah, with rising with elevation.
No, there's also a video where it disappears, and it's because of the focus or some weird shit like that.
Yeah.
Here, I can find one for you. I don't really like to go into the chat.
Oh, they were playing with the contrast.
You will never video the sun going below the horizon and then bring it back with zoom.
Not once.
If you saw a letter M instead, would that mean the sun was inverted?
That would be only used at sunrise, I believe.
All right, so I have a question for the globe earthers here. Did that experiment make any sense at all? Because I say no, it did not.
Less than none.
None at all.
I don't even know what the experiment was.
It's
Okay, good. I'm just glad I'm not the only one here.
It lacks scientific rigor.
Hold on. Can I ask some? So
No.
you do
The only
guys don't
W that I
like
got
Chris?
out of it was, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Okay, that's good.
I'll
Now,
let
let
Denmark go.
me
Let Denmark
interject
go.
real quick. All right, you guys don't
What
understand
does
about
Denmark
what Crit's doing.
Yeah, 'cause I tried to attach a file to the
I
debate
can't even get
chat,
3
and it
seconds
just
out.
disconnected me.
Crit, Demok's trying to white knight you. Will you allow that, sir?
No, I can write that myself. I'm good, Jaime.
Sit down, Demok. You don't want your dumb ass white knighting them.
No, I was just gonna say about Globers. It wasn't nothing about Crit. It was about how Globers can take a shadow for 500 or 200 years and base their whole reality on a shadow of a well or a stick, right? But you guys are gonna talk about Crit when he talks about like what his
In other
observation
words,
is.
you got
That's a wonderful false dichotomy.
Oh,
in other words, you got
how else did you get the radius of your planet?
So actually,
did you get the
Demok,
radius of
I
your
have a
planet?
question for you, Demok.
How did
his
you get the
experiment
radius
make
of your
sense?
planet?
He changed the definition of sunrise and sunset, and he changed it to not when the sun appears
So?
over the horizon or disappears, but to tell what time can he read a W from a given distance, which, by the way, would be more related to twilight and how long twilight lasts. And depending on your latitude
Welcome to new
and the time
thoughts,
of year,
human.
twilight can last much longer, right? That's why they'll list like
Humans make
astronomical
new
twilight
thoughts and new
and
observations.
astronomical twilight. And in the very northern and southern hemispheres, astronomical twilight can last many hours because the sun is moving on a more horizontal path. And it's
Okay, and
closer to the
why?
horizon.
Yep, and why did I do that? I gave an answer to that already. There's
Because
a reason
you said
why.
it's related to some. You said it was related to the headlight laws, which require you to turn on your headlights when it's twilight, right?
There you got it, right? So if you can
That
pass
has
a law,
nothing to do with sunrise and sunset on timeanddate.com, though.
no, but it's a way of standardizing. Does these laws relate to a scientific method that can tie back to why people must turn headlights on or face a criminal sanction?
That's not sunset.
It's light.
If you're comparing it to the time of sunset listed on timeanddate.com, you have to understand what sunset is. They give a definition for it. And that's what that time is valid for, not for your cockamamie experiment. How much of that were you talking about?
Like in Alaska, you'll have glow from the horizon for many hours in the summertime in Alaska. because the sun has a horizontal path as it descends below the horizon, and it will illuminate the horizon for many hours after sunset. So that's going to be very different in Alaska than it would be in Central America or in on the equator in Ecuador.
Okay, so
very
if the,
different.
Okay, so if I remember the figure right, it was like I think they just rounded it up to 30 minutes. The law I was looking at.
In the law they usually say 30 minutes before sunrise or sunset, something like that, right?
Yeah.
They'll
So
say that you
then
have to turn your headlights have to be on 30 minutes before sunrise, or 30 minutes after sunrise, and then 30 minutes after sunset, or something like that.
Other
right?
way around. Yeah, it's fine.
Whatever. I have it
gotcha.
backwards. 30 minutes before sunrise, 30 minutes after sunset, and then all they would do is say, okay, what time was this citation given, or observed? When did you observe the vehicle? And then they'll maybe look on time and date and see whether it's within the definition of sunrise and sunset within 30 minutes, and there you go. But the actual amount of time at which this would be legible will be different at different latitudes. It'll be different in Seattle than it would be in San Diego. Because in Seattle, twilight lasts much longer than in San Diego because it's at a much northern latitude. So in the summertime, you could have a twilight that lasts a long
time. Does elevation come into play?
No, elevation.
Yeah, and that's why I got to the point where people, especially the government, has basically played fast and loose with these definitions.
Not fast and loose. They make an easy benchmark because of the fact that it's a very arbitrary thing. They just say, look, 30 minutes after sunset, it's very reasonable because then it's simple and it's not getting into the complexity of, well, how much, when is astronomical twilight ending? How much glow is there this time of year from the horizon?
Yeah, I would say if the government's going to bring a criminal case against
right, that's why they make it very simple and easy to understand. They say 30 minutes after sunset. What sunset? When the sun disappears below the horizon. It's
yeah,
very
so
easily defined.
They dumb it down to like a flat Earth concept. Instead of
no, they make it so it's not arbitrary. Well, at what point is the atmosphere glow? Because that's going to be different depending on is there clouds on the horizon? Is there clouds in the sky? That's going to change how long that twilight lasts.
Yeah, and also if you actually have a court case, how are you going to define? Oh, it was 70 lumens or whatever. What units are you going to use,
elevation.
And who is going to testify, and how are they going to testify what the light levels were?
Right.
Like it would be impossible.
And the elevation
quite the
too, if you're
opposite.
1,000 miles high, that
Yeah,
does
you got the court case fucked up. The government is supposed to bring the evidence against you, not you have to defend yourself. So the government should say, not only did they violate the statute, but they also violated the safety conditions by not operating the vehicle in this manner. That could have caused X amount of property damage or whatever their red herring, slippery slope, logical fallacy.
But how does any
1,000
of
miles
this
is a little
disprove
much.
the globe?
Okay, a couple miles.
How's
2
he
miles
supposed
high.
to debunk the globe?
Yeah, so
no globe
it shows
exists,
the cause and effect of relationship between sun and visible light is not there. There's some other factors.
What got to do with the globe?
Because they make it want to seem like somehow as soon as the sun breaks the horizon, boom, that's lights out. Now it's nighttime. It's not as simple as that.
No.
What?
You are so ill-informed. It's not funny.
No.
Okay, well, good. When I hear you say
atmosphere is
that,
still
it's quite
illuminated
breathtaking. Because I had
by
to
the
break down why I
attenuation.
even used the W. You guys are so ill-informed on that point.
Yeah, and your
something wrong
explanation
with
was
you.
completely
Seriously
nonsensical for that too.
So it was incoherent why I used the W.
Get why you used the W,
I
but
said
everything
nonsensical,
else
not
you said.
incoherent, nonsensical.
Okay, so why did I use a W? Let's see how incoherent I was. So anyone on the panel here, why did Crit use a W?
No, the
No,
reason
no
you
good
go
They
reason.
used it.
because
No,
the
the reality is,
ink-to-area ratio for
you didn't
W
even have a good
is the
reason for
lowest.
using the W.
Okay, the ink-to-area ratio is the lowest. So in terms of visual acuity, it's the most clear letter to make out.
Damn, that's even better than I tried to say it.
He used
Yeah,
W because he was all out of M's.
Yeah,
You didn't even
Bullshit.
need to. No,
And
you
they
didn't
made
area
it.
ratio.
draw
I'm
a
gonna
W.
change that
You
on my
could have just
paperwork
made
I
it.
did
You
for
could
it.
have just made a marking on the yardstick that you could no longer see. The letter was irrelevant. The
It
fact that
came
you
in broken.
chose a letter at all just doesn't even make any sense.
Can you explain to him again?
Why
To be fair, you don't need to choose a letter. You could have done it with a different kind of design. You could have drawn a square.
You could have
for
written a
instance.
check mark. You could have just made a marking. It doesn't matter. Like whether or not you can see the marking.
So why do you
is
care
what's
about his
important.
marking of a W?
Yeah, why was that such a sticky point?
Because it just goes to show how nonsensical your entire experiment was.
He's
None
not,
of
he's
it.
not used to W's.
In no way,
He's
shape,
used
or
to L's.
form.
Because you don't like
In no way,
W's.
shape, or form could this experiment proven or disproven any
Because
shape
he
of the
didn't
Earth.
use a different letter or a check mark?
No, that was just one part of how nonsensical his fucking experiment was. Nothing, literally nothing about it made any sense. It wasn't going to prove anything except for the
Well,
fact that the sun sets.
Can I help you? Because you're not
please
in the
do.
state of mind of his comprehension, and you're not in his brain.
Stop. Yeah, no,
Maybe
I'm
that's
not,
why you
you're
can't
correct. I am
comprehend
not
what he
high
can
on
comprehend.
PCP. You're correct.
Because it took you
I
a
am
while
not
to
high on
comprehend the
PCP,
W.
which is why I can't comprehend it.
So you're not high. That's why you can't comprehend reality.
So
okay.
okay,
I'll go with that.
Thank you so much.
I'll go with that.
I'm glad you are.
Yeah, I don't think the letter was the critical part. The critical part is no one ever said it's pitch black after the sun sets and there's no twilight. Which is kind of what he assumed.
Oh no, I was assuming that the light
we didn't.
would be connected through a certain standard deviation. There would be some
Why-
cause and effect relationship there.
Why would you
So when I
assume
found
that?
that there wasn't, okay.
But why would you
to me, it
assume
was a
that?
That was a contradiction. Oh, because the headlight laws had been, that was like the intellectual firepower the government uses to claim you're a criminal, but you're also
So
the
basically,
victim.
basically, the flaw of your experiment links back to you don't even understand the law. Because laws don't work like that. It's not like, oh, it's always the same conditions on this day. Like 17 minutes after sunset, the law books say it's always the same light levels. No. Did any law book say that the light levels 17 minutes after sunset are always the same? Did you read any law book and see that?
No, but you got people who come up with all
No,
kinds of
thank you.
defenses. You got all kinds of defenses that people can bring forward, and if there really was a defense that the sun is that powerful, that's the only light in the sky, and everything goes black, then someone should have brought that defense forward by now. That it's not they're a victim of circumstance. Also, I can't control the sun, officer.
But this doesn't disprove the globe.
That's I have a hard time figuring out what that even means. Like, if the law says that you have to have your lights on 30 minutes after or before the sunset, the light levels don't matter, you freaking idiot. So the officer is going to say, yeah, the light levels don't actually matter, whether it was pitch black or whether it was fucking daylight.
Broad
you should
daylight,
have
right?
had your headlights on and you broke the law.
Yeah, you don't see a problem with that?
I see a
It might be a
problem in how
legal
this
problem.
disproves the globe.
It might be a
when you
problem
test
with the
that
law.
claim,
It's not
yeah,
a problem
then when
with the globe.
Yeah, but then when you test that claim, because they'll tell you that, are you arguing that the sun doesn't control day and night? And you're like, well, certainly I can probably make a case for that.
No.
Let me test that.
No sane person would argue that.
Grant, I have
God.
a really serious question. Are you high?
It's just stupid.
Crit, were you
We
able
live-
to post
we-
that video of zooming in
It
on
might
a
look.
sunset?
You might have a point if we
No, I
didn't have an
disconnect every time I
atmosphere.
try.
Okay.
But there's an atmosphere
Just
which
wondering if I missed it or not.
diffuses the light. There's an atmosphere that diffuses the light, and it diffuses light over the horizon.
Yeah,
That's
so
when you have
why
twilight.
can't
And
you
on-
present
and by
that?
the way, on the because to make it simple, there's always they codify statutes, right? Like for example, the DUI law, right? It's usually 0.08% blood alcohol content, depending on the state, right? Now there are people that can drive better than, there's probably race car drivers that can drive better than most people can at 0.08 that can hold their liquor, and then there's chicks that'll be falling on the floor at 0.08. Alcohol affects people differently, especially if they're drinkers or not, right? But they don't instead of having to argue that point, they put a thing. If you test 0.08, that's it. Your DUI. It doesn't matter the circumstances. And then they usually add another law that says even if you're under 0.08, but you appear to have been inebriated, you can still get a DUI even under 0.08, because there's a second law within the context in many states that will say that if you're inebriated, you're also unsafe to drive. But that's why they codify things like that. If you're over 0.08, that's it. Doesn't matter whether alcohol affects you a lot or a little, you're still a drunk.
No, they have sobriety test.
DUI supports the globe. We're all in agreement.
The sobriety test is what's going to be the deciding factor there. If someone can pass a sobriety test, there isn't probable cause.
In most states, in most states, I'm not familiar with it in all states, but in most states, there is a statute there. If you test over, if you're 0.08 or over and you test, that's it. By statute, you're guilty. It doesn't matter whether you pass all your field sobriety tests. It doesn't matter if you blow 0.08 or if your blood draws 0.08 or over, you're going to get the DUI. It does not matter at that point.
Yeah, okay. In my state, you have to fail the road sobriety test before they have probable cause to take a blood sample or to have you blow in the breathalyzer. It's a multiple step thing.
God.
First, there's a hunch, then there's the investigation.
But
please let it stop.
Couldn't we actually use this case to prove that alcohol doesn't affect your mental state in any way whatsoever? Because if that happened, then there would have been some poor bastard who made a case, and we know that didn't happen, and we don't need to go to look into it. Like we can make a case that alcoholism doesn't affect your state in any way whatsoever because the line isn't sharp.
They just have to guess everything, don't we?
And I think that puts a nail in the coffin of this aspect of it.
I'm with Curved.
Crit, is there a channel that you can post?
The curve.
Yeah, that's fine. Crit, is there a place that you can post that video you were talking about?
Oh, do you want me to send it to you?
I mean, that'd be cool. Yeah, BioDual DM.
Okay. Yeah, I see
It'd be great if we could hear what other experiments you've done to show the globe is bunk.
No, the Dunning-Kruger effect in the last one was breathtaking.
Oh, you don't want any more. If that's where we're going to start, I don't even want to know what's next.
Yeah, exactly.
I do. That was entertaining as fuck.
I'll bet it gets better and better. Crit sharper than you guys give him credit for. Show him up, Crit. Show him how it's done.
Well, how about if you didn't like my experiment, show me your guys' experiment. What have you guys done?
Show me how SMRT you are, Crit.
No, I mean I shared mine. I showed you mine. You're not going to show me yours? Is that
Crit?
is that how
I'm
this
sorry.
works?
I can't help you, Crit. I'm sorry.
I know you can't.
You claimed you did multiple experiments. We're wondering what they are.
Yeah, the first one was a massive display of Dunning-Kruger effect.
It was beautiful.
You're actually right, Crit.
You did display that, that's for sure.
One experiment I did, I talked to people in Australia and I asked them if the daylight was lasting 14 hours, and they said yes.
Boom.
Yeah, I looked at a flight schedule from Santiago to Sydney, and it was only 14 hours.
The test that I did, I talked to flat earthers, and every single one of them were idiots.
There you go.
And that means you're ready to talk about the globe or still talk about flat Earth?
I watched a lunar eclipse.
Yeah, I watched boats go over the horizon. Well, actually ships, but...
The
geometric
horizon?
I asked someone for measurements of the globe Earth, and it was given to me.
The geometric horizon or physical, like the physical shape or the parent horizon?
I found out how GPS works, and it only works on a globe of specified size.
This kind of
with the
reminds me
mechanism that it works.
This kind of reminds me of one episode of The Simpsons where Bart calls Australia to find out which way the toilet flows.
So,
yeah,
so
I miss
any other,
those days.
So any other obvious observations that you need that you can ignore?
I miss those days when you guys used to claim the
keep
toilet
giving you
flush.
the observations you can ignore.
Yeah, I miss those days when the counterclaim was the toilet flush proved the globe rotating.
Yeah, that's the one you focus on, right?
Yeah,
Of all the things
those
just to
days were
mention to you,
hilarious.
that's the one. That's the only one you heard.
Yeah, you guys forget used to make that claim.
How do you make sense of a 14-hour flight from Santiago?
Yeah, how
Chile
do you make
to
sense
Sydney,
that you used to say
Australia?
a toilet flush?
You're not going to answer the question, are you?
I missed those days when
I
religion
would say
thoughts
because I
that
saw an
gods
episode of The
create
Simpsons
lightnings.
and it was funny.
Yeah, it was more than funny. It was like people actually used to claim that.
Well, it's
They've
actually
got
I
people
was
making debunk videos. Like,
I
hey,
was-
globalists, stop saying the toilet flush proves the
Do you
globe.
not even notice what you're doing? Do you not even, no amount of self-reflection, do you? You cannot even begin to comprehend what you're doing, can you?
Why don't
Yeah,
we
go
still
ahead.
claim that
Globalist,
toilet?
Do you know
Why
anybody
don't
who?
we?
Yeah, you know anyone who ever said that?
Chris, why
I
don't
don't
we say it
care.
anymore? Why don't we say it?
Why'd you say it in the first place?
So actually,
Why don't we say it
I
anymore?
didn't say it.
Focus on.
I didn't say it in the first place.
Yeah, for the record,
Here's the
I've
thing.
never said
That's
that.
actually a beautiful demonstration of how science
Nobody
works.
here cares about that. Move on.
Yeah, but Chris,
You and
why
any of
don't
the
we
other
say it
ones that
anymore?
look forward.
I don't know
Glober
why
says
you
it
said it in the first place.
Here's the thing. No. Here's the
Yeah,
thing, though.
but-
It's a beautiful demonstration of how science works because there was a prior
It
belief.
is not a beautiful
and when it
demonstration of
was
how science
proved to
works.
be
Stop
bunk-
it. Just stop. It's not a beautiful demonstration of how science works. It's a horrible demonstration of how science works.
No. Let me explain. Because there was a previous belief when we
nothing to
were fucking
explain.
kids. When we were kids, it was a previous belief. But when we got older and we learned the reality, we changed our stance and we don't use that anymore. Not that I think anybody ever said that to begin with, as far as actual proof of the globe. But that's how science works. You come to
That's not
an
science.
agreement
That's
until you
not
realize, oh shit, this was wrong. Let's change it. We're not going to use that anymore because it's
That's
wrong.
just what sane people do. They don't have to be scientists to realize, oh shit,
I
was told a lie.
What do you think is wrong about the toilet?
Yeah, the toilet is too small to
No,
really
it-
show that effect.
It's not even the size; it's the dimension of the toilet itself. Because you can just adjust the surface and you can make it spin a particular direction.
I don't remember Erebus using it on Jose's, and I was trying to get through his head that no, it doesn't actually work.
I just want to understand if people understand the distinction. No one's saying the toilet is not affected by the force. It's just that toilets are so unique and variable, they're not reliable as a testing method.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too.
This is one that I think I got in school. I think that I did have at least one teacher who said it. And, oh well, they were wrong.
I wonder what Jeremy's opinion on Crit's experiment would be.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Curious what he would have said.
By the way, one brilliant demonstration of the globe, actually.
Sorry, what?
Sunsets.
Was it a scientific experiment?
I didn't even get to the good parts.
Oh, here he is. You can ask him.
Was it a scientific experiment?
No,
Yeah,
no, it wasn't.
Jeremy, when you go to the bathroom, do you sit down or stand up?
I didn't even get to the good parts. I did this experiment in multiple different places, not just in my timeshare.
Was it a scientific experiment though?
No,
I
Jeremy.
don't know,
no
Jeremy.
measurements.
Jeremy,
No
there was no
measurements of the
cause.
optical corridor, Jeremy. None.
I
Somebody
think we're
said-
talking
somebody
about
said they wanted
toilets,
my
and,
opinion,
and
if you guys
Jeremy
don't,
is the
that's
right
fine,
guy
I'll
to be
just-
talking about toilets.
I'll just go away.
Jeremy is a scientist.
Jeremy is a ceramic specialist.
Brett, was it a scientific experiment?
Which
it
one
wasn't.
are you talking about? The sunsets or the toilets?
Hair that won't flush in the ladies' restroom. Can we get Jeremy?
So which experiment are you
Jeremy.
talking about, Jeremy? You seem to be just...
I'm the what you guys want to know my thoughts on the W, the thing with
No,
the
we don't.
W?
Someone just put that.
Or-
No, we are moving onwards from the W. We
Yeah,
already
right,
get the
right.
W and you get the L.
Poor kid.
It wasn't scientific, so move on.
It wasn't even rational.
Let me see that image Pyro posted. That poor boy.
It's an
Okay,
alphabetical
sure.
experiment.
Sure, can you show me what your rational experiment of the globe was?
We already told you.
Just a
You
black
ignored
stick.
every one of them except for the stupid toilet thing.
No,
Every
that's what
one
I'm
of them you
saying.
ignored.
That
We
was an
already told you.
observation. I said,
We
you asked me
already-
what.
All right,
Okay,
what
listen,
did we tell you our
pay attention.
experiments were? I don't need to.
Yeah, let's hear
You
one
never
of
say
one of
anything
your
worth paying
experiments.
attention to.
Yeah, I would just like to
Let's
hear
hear
one
one of your
experiment you've done.
experiments, Mackie. Let's hear
Shut
one.
up,
of your-
Jeremy.
They
I can
flew
give
an
you an
airplane from
experiment.
Santiago to Sydney. That's an experiment. It landed
Taking
at
a
the time
flight?
they expected. Yes.
Taking a flight is an experiment?
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. Of course it is. Geesh. If you don't understand that, then you need to understand what it
just
means to learn
stupid.
things.
That's just stupid.
Jeremy,
Hypothesis?
I don't think you and stupid should be. I don't think you should be using that word very often, man.
No, we can go through the scientific method. So step one is observation. So what was your observation for this?
Dude, you don't understand the scientific method either.
Yeah,
That's
they
not
don't
the
know.
step
They don't
one.
know.
Yeah, okay. I believe the scientific method is
No,
a
you don't.
way
You
of
don't even
testing.
know what it is. You can't
Yeah,
believe.
right here.
They
This.
don't- They don't know what it is.
Okay. I believe that the scientific method is a process to test a natural world with experimentation to determine cause and effect.
Can I test a shoe scientifically?
Go ahead. What's your hypothesis?
No, I'm just saying, can I test man-made things? I'm just trying to find out how deep into
Let's hear your shoe
Oh,
hypothesis.
I see what you're saying.
how deep you are into quantum erasers.
Brenda, let's hear your shoe hypothesis.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Cool. So can you reverse engineer something? Yes,
No.
you can.
Can you scientifically test man-made things?
What if you have a naturally observed phenomenon beforehand?
Well, can it be a naturally observed phenomenon looking at a man-made object? I'm trying to understand if you're up.
Okay, yeah. So you're looking at a man-made object, trying to determine cause and effect of that man-made object. That's easy. You know what the cause, you know what the effect is. The shoe. The cause is man.
No, that's not the question. The question is.
Okay, sure. Well, tell me. Can you give me another?
The question is the longevity.
Okay, no, I got you.
The longevity of the materials, or
Yeah. Can you
how I
give
can
me?
bond molecules together to make them last longer? Yeah, whatever.
Give me the cause of shoe.
It's not the cause of shoe. I'm asking you how I can make a shoe. I found a shoe that has been worn by somebody that lasted 10,000 miles. So now I know that this shoe lasts 10,000 miles. Why did it last 10,000 miles?
Yeah, you could look at wear patterns and things like that.
Hell of a shoe.
Yeah, well, that's it. This is a shoe that I want to start reproducing. This is like a Jeremy shoe.
You want to
No, you
reverse
don't,
engineer
Moyak.
that.
You don't want to reproduce that. You don't want to reproduce that shoe, Moyak. There ain't no planned obsolescence in it.
So
yeah, so if you got shoe, and you want to know the cause of this shoe,
I don't want to know the cause of the shoe. I want to know the cause.
Do you want to know the
longevity
effect of shoe? Do you want to know the what do you try to determine here? Cause or effect?
I want to know the longevity of the shoe. Did you hear me?
Okay, so you're looking at the materials it's made out of. Then it has nothing to do with shoe.
Oh, maybe.
Because these same materials.
Maybe it's
could
how
probably,
the whole thing is put together that's making it last longer.
Yeah, so you can reverse engineer anything you want. That's not something you could say is unscientific. It's just not inside the scope of the scientific method.
What's the natural phenomenon involved in this?
Well,
Wait a minute.
anything that happens in the world is natural. Anything that happens in reality is natural.
You can learn stuff about anything without using the scientific method. But if you're going to claim, if you're going to claim you're going to have an experiment, a scientific experiment, you got to go through the scientific method with it. No.
I think
one
thing that you just said was you reverse engineering something. When we're looking at nature, we're only reverse engineering nature.
I was this close to you guys. Almost tricked me into jumping and chewing out QE for not coming here to debate. You almost tricked me. Well played.
Nobody cared about tricking you, man.
Yeah,
Nobody
well
cares
played.
about you enough to try to trick you.
Yeah, you like, hey,
promise you.
go ask QE if you'll come here to
Nobody
debate.
here cares about you enough to try to trick you.
It's amazing. I know why he doesn't come here. You guys think that shoe is a naturally observed phenomenon.
Never said that.
And then you ask, what is the cause and effect of
shoe wear is?
Yeah, I get it now. I get why he won't come over here. How's he
You
supposed
never
to work
said
with that?
Crit. Why are you constantly lying like this?
Okay, okay, I understand QE
The
better.
opposite, Crit.
And I understand you guys better now too.
The question
Shit.
was, can you scientifically test the properties of the shoe, the man-made object?
Yeah, you can take measurements of what's going on with it. But if you want to determine
Scientifically.
Yeah, do you want to determine cause and effect through the scientific method of shoe?
For the properties of the man-made shoe, you can scientifically test it.
Yeah, but are you determining cause and effect?
Cause and effect isn't the only activity of science.
Let's say
The overarching reason to do science is to gather data about things.
Yeah,
at the end of an experiment, hold on, Craig. At the end of an experiment, if you're successful, you're going to have a theory afterwards, right?
At the end of an experiment, you will have backed up.
Jeremy.
You would have backed up or
Or a natural
disproved
law.
a hypothesis.
Or the null too. It can go either way.
If you verify your hypothesis, you'll have a theory, right? So in this
No.
shoe thing,
No,
in this shoe thing,
no. Just stop, Jeremy.
in
Just
this
stop.
shoe thing,
No.
if you verify
The
your
answer to your
hypothesis,
question. The answer to your question was
they
no.
gotta see, they gotta silence me, Crit, because they know
The answer
this
to your
is just
question was
nonsense.
no.
Pure
This is
nonsense.
Very easy.
This shoe thing goes back a long way, doesn't it? How far back does this shoe stuff go? You guys are that butthurt that QE roasted you on the shoe?
Well, no, it really doesn't matter. We're picking shoe.
Does it hurt you that bad that you can't get away from physical reality, guys?
This is funny.
And when you say when you try and when we're looking at nature, all we're doing is reverse engineering nature. So when you say reverse engineering, that's not saying it's not science. It's not saying engineering is different.
Yeah, but we're trying to figure out natural law, the way things work. Like a lot of times I've explained this when I talk to other globalists or atheists before, is that the cavemen actually invented scientific method when they invented fire. They saw lightning come.
Globalist doesn't mean somebody that really believes in
They saw light.
You keep saying globalist.
They saw lightning come down from the sky, and boom, there's fire. And they're like, how can I manipulate nature, the same way, create fire? Because this looks like a pretty good deal.
So they made lightning.
Were you there when that happened?
No, but I can reconstruct it just by
How
thinking.
do you know it happened like that? You were not there.
Well, how would you think? How did someone invent fire? What did they observe first?
Well, you could, for example, have fire in nature, and then you could,
lightning,
take a stick and pick it up, light it, and move the fire to another place. That's how they probably did it for thousands of years.
Is there any point you won't argue? You're arguing about how maybe people discovered fire. Come on.
The long and short, though, is you seem to think that that man-made is somehow different than nature, because nature includes the subset of man.
This is what happened. You had
man is a subset of nature.
Yeah, I got you. This is what happened here. You got butthurt by QE saying something about a shoe in the past.
No, it has to do with the fact that they're trying to eliminate all.
No, I got it. I see what you guys did here. It's quite clever.
You're dishonest cunt.
Stop.
There was no.
If you want to be dumb, but at least let the other person finish.
Yeah, I got it.
Don't cut them off to be dumb and say you got it.
No, I got it.
There
I totally
was
understand.
no QE shoe. There was no shoe QE incident. It never happened.
Then why is all these memes that Montreal's posting have to do with the shoe and stuff?
I don't know. You have to ask IC Montreal because he's bigger twat than you are.
Because of Brenda.
But it's God's face photoshopped in there.
You fight ghosts.
The intentional
Brenda says weird
misunderstanding
stuff
of saying,
about
well,
shoes
what is
and
the
dog
cause of,
bones.
Shoe man is what the problem is.
No, I think the problem really boils down to, like, you guys wanted QE to come here to debate, and you thought you would get me to do it for you.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't ever talked
I got
about
you.
QE except
You almost
you're
had me.
agreeing with me when I never had requested that you bring QE in here. So I
Yeah,
don't know
but your hustle almost worked.
There is
Actually,
no outstanding invitation to get QE here.
Crit, our real problem with you is that you claim to have tested the globe and have debunked it, and then when your feet was put to the fire, you came up with one of the most asinine experiments that anybody's ever heard of.
So then I offered, can you give me an example of your experiment? And you balk.
I did not claim to
We
have
did.
an experiment. You did.
Well, you talked about you took an airplane ride.
Yes.
I didn't say anything about airplane ride.
What's wrong with it? I did.
Yeah, so
What's
that's
wrong
your
with it?
experiment.
What's wrong with it?
Well, we were going into the experiment. What is
Explain
the
how you get from Santiago to Sydney in 14 hours. Go.
In a plane.
Yes.
Cause and effect.
How do you get there?
Yeah, in a plane. You said so.
And how do you get there in 14 hours? How far is it?
Yeah, you said you got there in a plane.
How far is it?
Why are you asking me about your experiment? You should have all this data available.
How far is it?
Do you not know the answer?
I'm not I'm not part
If you
of
don't know
your
the answer, we
experiment.
can give it to you. But
No, this is
If
the
he's
idea.
never did the flight, you
Yeah,
have to give him the
I'll
answer.
bullshit right away.
It's his observation.
Yeah, this is.
He
I
has to
can
give
raise
the information.
I can raise the bullshit flag immediately because as soon as I ask you a simple question, hey, it seems like your cause and effect is you got on a plane and then you tell me, well, how far is it?
How
you
did
didn't
the
get on no
plane
plane,
cover 14,000 miles at 500 miles an hour in 11 hours?
and you verified this how?
Take
It's
off the
called a
landing time.
stopwatch.
Okay, and you recorded all this, the whole process.
That's
It happens every day. Every day. You can choose to deny reality, or you can join the rest of us in reality, but it happens every
I've actually talked to
day.
pilots, and they use
day.
a flattened stationary navigation.
You're
No one
lying
there-
now, and you know
Can you name
it.
those
You
pilots?
have not. See, now you're just lying. Why would you want to do that? What is
See,
in
there
it for
this
you?
again.
to
He's
lie?
talking to people who claim to be pilots.
Pilots into a corner, and of course they agreed with me.
As they backed away slowly.
Yeah,
you
right.
do not-
Whatever you say, Crit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flat, man.
It doesn't. It doesn't work on a flat disc.
There we go. Now we got to the bottom of it. You didn't test the globe. You tried to falsify the flat disc.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Well,
What
There we
is
go.
wrong with you,
That's
man?
that's one thing
Gotta
that
be.
gets.
There we
It's
go.
pretty
That's a
you guys,
byproduct of the experiment.
That's just one
I
thing
just
that
gotta
gets
keep you
proven wrong.
talking. Just gotta keep you talking. It's all there.
Okay, you're babbling. That's a byproduct of the experiment. The globe falls out of it, and the flat Earth is destroyed.
And game over, right? That's it. All done.
For
Pretty
us,
good
yeah.
evidence.
Well, you
Okay,
failed
does
to
this mean-
disprove the globe.
Does this mean you're ready to talk about the globe now, or are you still talking about flat Earth? That's my biggest key would be for this.
Well, sure, I got a question for you.
You're not ready, are you? Why would you ask me a question if you have the
He's
answer?
asking you a question.
But you
Well,
have
what
answers,
have you got
right?
to say about the globe?
Well, hold on.
I got nothing to
Which
say.
way
Let me
is
hear
light
all
red?
about this globe you guys have proven beyond any
I got something
doubt.
to say about the globe.
So
Nice
which way
story,
does light
bro.
bend in a density gradient with the highest density below?
Okay, that's it. We don't need.
See, look
wisdom.
how quickly you haven't disproved the flat Earth. Otherwise, you wouldn't have deflected right
Plane
back to the
flights all
flat
around
Earth.
the world is very, very
You-
good evidence that it's a globe.
I can raise the bullshit flag again. That's 2 bullshit flags and just like back-to-back sentences.
What's a bullshit flag?
Crit?
What's a bullshit flag?
Google it.
A
What's
degree
the
every
bullshit
69 miles
What-
north south.
Google it.
Crit, I
No,
actually
what are
need
you
to raise a
referring to?
bullshit
Yeah,
flag.
Google
What are you
it.
referring to as a bullshit flag?
Yeah, Google it. You can Google it right now.
Ah, for fuck, stop saying Google
Google
it.
it. Yeah, Google it. Yeah, Google it.
I'm asking you what you're referring to.
Yeah, and I tell you that it'd be much easier for you just to Google it.
What am I googling?
Bullshit flag.
No, I'm not. I'm not asking you what bullshit flag means. I'm asking you what you're referring to as a bullshit flag. You're the one that said it.
Okay, the bullshit flag would be someone says, I've debunked flat Earth 100%, and I've proved the globe 100%.
Well, nobody says
And
that.
I'm like, certainly, Toby. Now, what do you want to talk about now? And
Nobody
the next
says
thing out of their
100%.
mouth is more flat Earth. I'm like,
No.
that doesn't make any sense to me. If you've already destroyed all concepts of flat Earth, why would you keep talking about flat Earth?
Well, I tried to talk about that, but you didn't want to talk about it. You
Well, can I hear
cut
one of
me
your?
off. You're-
Okay, give me your guys'
the one
experiment.
14 hours of sun in Australia. The sun has to be, if it's circuiting over an Earth, it has to be doubling back on itself and going the opposite direction over that 14-hour period at some point. And it doesn't.
Yeah, and originally I was calling that a slam dunk. That would be game over for me. That would be like the other guy was saying. With
Okay,
his
so
flight
why
info.
isn't it?
I changed my mind because you kept deflecting
Why?
to me with these really weird, bizarre questions. Because
Weird, bizarre questions?
Yeah, and I offered you something very simple. Just tell me what other explanations you had heard before, and you couldn't do
I
it.
didn't hear you say
So
that.
then Jeremy stepped in and said, "Hey, check it out. I can answer this for Crit." I go,
'Cause
boom.
there isn't
That
any
sounds
other
good.
Explanation for 14 hours of daylight south of the equator on a flat.
Yeah,
Earth.
I mean, I've yet to hear a rebuttal to this.
What was the
Yeah, I think it's up to
explanation?
you
Can you
to give me
repeat
the
it?
alternate
Hang on. Hang on. Can you
Halfway
repeat the
there,
explanation?
12 hours, 7 hours, halfway back, 7 hours. 7 and 7, 14, boom.
Can you
Jeremy's got it,
explain?
right?
Sun's going
Can you
back.
give us the explanation
Yeah, is Jeremy
Again.
still here?
Comprehensive explanation, please.
Yeah, is Jeremy still here? Or do you want me to do it?
Oh, whoever.
Okay.
Jeremy.
Basically,
Jeremy's
what
not here.
Jeremy had said is that you don't know, not you, okay? And let me rephrase that because I don't want to think it's a microaggression or whatever. A person does not know what is going on in the sky.
The explanation? We don't
That's
know.
not an explanation.
Yeah.
That's not an explanation.
Wow.
Yeah, but basically, if you want to make it
So
scientific,
from-
how would you manipulate these objects to get a repeatable result?
So from that answer, a person doesn't know if the Earth's flat.
Okay.
Now we know the Earth's flat. Empirically,
What?
we observe a flat
You what? Hang on.
horizon. We don't feel motion.
Wait a
We
minute,
know-
Creed.
We know the Earth is observably flat and motionless.
It is
Well,
flat.
Wait a minute, Creed.
No,
that helps
He's saying
prove
it's flat
flat.
now. He's saying
If
he
you
I
can
knows
see
it's
the
flat.
sun,
Hold up, you motherfuckers.
if you can see the
He's
sun
saying he
for
knows it's
14
flat.
hours,
Yeah, I can
That's right.
disagree with percentage here. I would have to be able. This is what I'm looking for generally.
So
Someone
you don't
to-
know.
Someone to explain to me why there's all this motion, even though you detect none. Why there's all this curve, even though you can't see it or measure it. And right now, the best example is the Earth's so big and you're so small.
Well, a quick example of this
Right.
would be if you got
So
onto
what's-
the ice, onto a glacier. We can measure over a period of days that a glacier has moved. Yet standing on that glacier, you don't feel any motion. So we know that we have a limitation on our ability to determine whether there's motion. So is the speed of the Earth and all of its axes
What'd you
great
just
enough
say?
to
So
be
hang-
felt?
So what's the problem with being so small and the Earth being so big?
Well, because the first claim is that you can actually see the sun go over the geometric horizon of the Earth.
So
That's a problem.
You didn't answer his question, though.
So what's that? Why is that a problem? What's that got to do with you being
It's a
small and
problem
Earth being
because
big?
that's a follow-up for the claim that we see a curve. It's a little
Yeah.
follow-up saying we just don't see it over
But
a small period of
he
distance.
just
The curve
he
has to
just
do with
said
motion.
he just said he was told and he was given an explanation that it seems still in motion, motionless and flat because he's so small and the Earth's so big. I'm asking what the problem with that explanation is.
Okay, how about this one? When you see the sun move, are you seeing the sun move?
Why don't
or
you
the
just
Earth
answer his
move?
question?
Again, the problem
am.
is the burden of proof
You're
hasn't been
not.
satisfied for the claim that it's a curve.
Repeat back the
what's-
question.
It hasn't been satisfied to you. No one cares.
What is the problem with being so small and the Earth being so big? How is that
Okay.
how is that not an adequate explanation?
Yeah, I got it. Because if you debunk the flat Earth, you destroy that excuse.
It's been done, but sorry.
If
You
you
still haven't answered the
debunk the
question.
flat Earth, if you
You literally
debunk the
can't
flat
answer the
Earth, you
question,
destroy
can
that excuse.
Yep.
we're
Because
so
you'd have to
small,
admit.
we
I don't
wouldn't
get
be
that.
able to detect a hill that we're living on.
See,
A
because
big
right away,
hill.
if you say the Earth presents
That's funny.
itself as flat and stationary because humans are just so small and the Earth is so big, at the same time, your next question is, but the Earth doesn't present as flat and stationary because of all these other observations you can make on the human level. That's a
No, at the
contradiction.
same time, they presuppose the curve when they say that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
shut up.
No, you
contradiction.
measure a curve. You don't presuppose it. You measure it.
Go back to
Was
sleep.
asked the question. It's not been answered.
Nor was
It has been
mine.
answered. He's presupposing the curve by even posing the
Percent,
question.
shut
You
up.
can
It's a non
shut up
sequitur.
for the moment, Okuntage.
No, it's a non sequitur.
Let Crit fail to answer the question.
I give that the percentage. If I failed to answer, go ahead, percentage.
All right, like I said, even posing the question, it's a non sequitur because you haven't shown the curvature that you claim.
That's
that you
not the
presuppose
question
in that
either.
question.
That's not the question
So
either.
there would be nothing wrong with
the
it
whole- the
if
whole
you
point-
showed
See,
if
This
there
is
was
what
curvature.
happens when you try to
But the whole
repeat
point-
back the question.
Repeat
The
back
whole
the
point
question.
has to the whole point of the explanation is because you're so small and the Earth is so big.
Yeah, again, it would be fine if you actually showed the curvature, which you claim. So
Which we have.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
Answer the question.
This house is
Well, the
so
whole
big,
point is
and I'm
you
so
say
small.
it looks this particular way.
Knock it
You
off.
say
Come on.
you
Well,
say
hold on,
it
I'm trying to
looks
prove a
it looks flat. It looks flat and motionless, right? That's what you say.
Yeah.
And why does it look flat and motionless?
That's just how it
Is
looks.
it because you're
That's
so
what it is.
small and it's so big?
Maybe,
No.
maybe not. But the point is, what we know is it looks flat and motionless, and you have to prove it otherwise.
Okay, have we determined that we can't?
If you're going to claim it's other, claim it's a curve, you have to prove it.
Hey, based on my ice flow argument, you can't feel the ice flow, yet you know the ice flow is moving. So what we can do is we can put on their G-force sensors and load sensors, and we can measure it and see. So we start using tools. Now we know that based upon what I said, that we have a limitation in our ability to feel angular acceleration. Right? We do have that limitation. And visually also, we have a limitation on our eyes. We can't see a 2x4 is bent from across the room, but when we look down it, we can see that it's bent. So again, we have to use tools, positioning, all sorts of things that we're trying to accomplish the task in mind. So you can't say it's flat.
I disagree.
It looks flat.
What you're saying doesn't make sense, because when you use tools, you're still like using the tools using your own senses. So if you're saying your senses are faulty, then even if you're using tools and observing them with your senses, it's still faulty.
That's stupid.
The senses are not accurate enough. That's the difference. The senses are not accurate enough.
So I
For seeing
holster my
straight lines in the
sensors.
distance, the human eyes are the gold standard. There's nothing better.
That's wrong.
False.
That's why you have rectilinear lenses trying to make the straight lines that we see with our human eyes. They're trying to straighten those lines because there's distortion, real distortion, pinprick distortion. They try to straighten those lines. They try to make them true to life.
We heard this.
The standard, the control,
I heard this
is your
exact
human
argument
eyes.
yesterday. I mean, this exact argument yesterday. And
I
I'm
didn't
pretty
hear
sure
this
we
one.
were the day before.
This is a new one to me.
Yeah, he made this exact argument yesterday.
Yeah,
and
I'll say it until you guys fucking get it.
I know you'll say it forever. You'll say it till the day you die, possibly. And I don't understand why anybody still cares whether you say it or not and bothers responding to you.
Well, the people that do care are intellectually honest, unlike you.
So because I look with a microscope, that proves that my eyes are the best way of looking at something.
Why are human eyes a gold
No,
standard?
again, it's very specific. I said
plenty of avian
straight lines
eyes
in the
are better than
distance.
humans.
Are superior the equipment you can use to identify that.
Like eyes compared to other animals are not the best. Eyes compared to instrumentation are demonstrably worse.
How do you know
In
that?
certain
Are
arenas.
you a shapeshifter? Have you shapeshifted into a hawk and you know exactly how their eyes look compared to humans?
No, when I go and I look at a
Stop making fucking
when I use a
stupid
special
claims.
piece of equipment, I use a piece of equipment to measure a curve at a distance. I can see the curve with the device. I can measure it physically when I get to it, but when I look at it, it looks straight. I use a level doing my gutters on my house because it's hard to do with your eyes.
That's a good one because you want the gutters to slope, right? Because water always finds its level.
And we know, I think eagles have like a 20-5 eyesight ratio compared to 20/20. I mean, it's absurd to say human eyesight is the gold standard.
Human eyesight in terms of observing things, because we're humans, okay? So don't bring up other animals that we can't use to like actually see stuff. It's argumentum ad absurdum, okay? In terms of actually being humans and observing stuff, and seeing lines in the distance, our eyes are the gold standard. That's why all the lenses you have distortion, and they have specific types of lenses to minimize that distortion and to make those curved lines straight, to make them true to life.
You realize sight doesn't change between animals. It's just how detailed they are at distances.
Incorrect.
That's all we're talking about.
My eyesight is 2400. I don't think anybody wants me determining whether something is straight or not.
Percentage. I had a question. Is your eyesight better than a microscope?
For what purpose? My eyes is definitely better than a microscope in terms of seeing.
For looking at the
straight lines in
horizon
the
through a
distance.
microscope.
For the purpose that
straight lines in the distance, then
per
definitely.
percentage, you asked the question and you didn't bother to listen to the answer. The answer is your eyesight better than a microscope for
That's a
detecting
question,
small
actually.
things?
That's not an answer.
Yeah, he's doing the Jeopardy. You know, what is
Yeah,
the global
I'm asking you a
spectacular?
question, percentage. So can you answer? Is
Yeah.
your eyesight better than a microscope?
Yes,
For the...
seeing straight lines in the distance, it is.
You are deflecting. You are trying to answer my question before you listen to the question. So please sit down and listen carefully to what I'm actually asking. Don't try to answer the question that I'm not asking. So the question is your eyesight better than a microscope in terms of detecting very, very small things?
No.
Is
Thank
your
you.
eye better than a telescope at detecting very, very far
Now,
away
let
things?
me ask you a question. Are your eyes better than microscopes or other lenses at seeing straight lines in the distance?
That's irrelevant. We have
Well,
already
telescope
proven
would
they
be
are not
We're
a
talking about
gold.
horizons, but it's relevant.
A telescope would be.
We have proven the eyesight is not a gold standard, which you said they are.
For seeing straight lines in the distance.
Yes.
How many times have to say
we
it?
use telescopes for that.
Sure we do.
Oh, sure we do. Yes,
We
no,
do.
that's what we do.
Actually, we do.
So your eye-
Thank you for agreeing,
If I
percentage.
want to look at Jupiter and the red spot, I'm not going to look at it with my eyes. I'm going to look at it with a telescope.
Will you guys take questions on Jupiter?
If I'm going to do things for surveying, I'm going to use a telescope or a modified form of a telescope.
Is there anyone
to
here?
get the resolution I need to measure a straight line at a distance?
Is anyone here to take a few questions on Jupiter?
No.
Question for percentage.
I can only if I have to take a question on Jupiter, I have to go to Jupiter, and then I can take the question on Jupiter.
Can you go there with your
Well,
telescope and just observe
why
it?
don't you ask your question and we'll see if someone can answer it. What's your question?
Okay, so we talk about the Coriolis force, that it has this deflection in the southern and northern hemispheres are different, and it's based on the Earth spinning. So why doesn't the big red storm in Jupiter follow the same physics as here on Earth?
Who says it doesn't?
It spins the opposite direction.
It's in the southern hemisphere of Jupiter, isn't it?
Yeah, and it spins the way it should if it was in the northern hemisphere.
So Jupiter had the same.
And what about winds in the northern hemisphere? Do they spin in the opposite direction as the Great Red Spot?
Does Jupiter have the same rotation as Earth?
Yep, Jupiter has the same rotation as Earth, and it's bigger, and it spins faster than Earth. So if anything, the Coriolis effect should be multiplied. All the different data points are there to make it, but what you're seeing is quite the opposite. It spins the opposite direction. That's a contradiction, and I was just wondering, can anyone explain it?
It's not necessarily a contradiction, but I don't know what the answer is. There's lots of complexities in how the atmosphere moves on Jupiter.
Yeah, I agree with you. And for me, it's almost it's like a low pressure storm, or it's some sort of reverse cyclone, something that only exists inside a gas giant, or some sort of other thing that people don't even have an explanation for yet.
Because we could ask, have you ever looked at the internet to find out why does a red spot on Jupiter spin in the wrong direction?
Yeah, there's a couple different answers. It's one of the first things I started looking at when
and what was wrong with those answers?
That they basically say that these are just people guessing. That there's a scientific communicator from NASA who said, "What's her favorite planet?" And she went through and talked about, well, obviously everyone, I made a joke first. Everyone would say Earth is your favorite planet, but if you can't pick Earth, which one do you pick? And it's like, well, Pluto because it's the underdog and blah blah blah. Went on and on about this one. So at the end, she says she'd pick Jupiter because it's the closest thing to a star, and she knows absolutely nothing about it.
Okay.
So what was the?
How does that help you with Earth being flat?
Because at this point, people are looking through stars or suns or moons and gas giants and super or dwarf stars or failed stars, and they have no idea what they're looking at.
The further you get away from Earth, the less.
So what was the explanation for the Great Red Spot?
There really isn't
spinning?
one.
No, but what was given? What do you disagree with?
I don't disagree with any of it. All of it could be true. It could all be false. But I'm getting at here is how
What was
someone
it?
could look.
I'm not. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to get down to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, there's like four different. The first one says there's actually a core in the center there that has some sort of volcanic activity. There's another one that says that it's a low pressure storm, it's a reverse cyclone or a counter cyclone. Someone else says a mixing of the gases. It's not actually a storm. It looks like it's a storm from our point of view, but if you were actually there, it would just be a blending of color.
Those are more causes of storms rather than the reason of spin.
Yeah. So, but none of them have to. None of them basically call in why the Coriolis effect isn't there. It basically says, well, just presuppose the Coriolis effect worked exactly the way it's said to work here on Earth, and it doesn't work there. But we're not going to question the Coriolis effect. We'll just question all this stuff about Jupiter that are just non sequiturs, that non-starters.
Well, you kind of have to compare things apples to apples, and that's a very different world.
Oh, yeah.
The explanation given is because the Coriolis force on Earth starts from the ground, from the surface of the Earth, as it swirls the atmosphere, and it goes from ground up. Whereas Jupiter, having no surface area, the swirls start in the upper atmosphere and aren't really comparable to how the Coriolis works on Earth. But the strives made through the atmosphere on Jupiter just don't do or act the same way as they do with a solid core planet.
What I just found says that the Great Red Spot is actually a high pressure system surrounded by lower pressure, whereas hurricanes on Earth are actually low pressure surrounded by high pressure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would go back to there. So how is anyone gleaning knowledge of Earth by looking at another object that they know absolutely nothing about either?
No, absolutely
Are they
nothing about
actually getting knowledge of the Earth?
So you went from we don't know about this one, why this one thing rotates the way it does, and we actually have some theories about how it does that, to we know nothing about it. That's a nice jump.
Yeah, because I would say that if you look up in the sky, you're not getting very much information at all. Even more so if you should be looking
No, that's
down.
not true. Because
Okay, how about
we know a lot about it. Hold on.
I got another
we know
one for
a
you.
lot about it. Just because we don't know, we can't exactly explain one thing out of the many things we know about it. Just because we can't, for 100% sure, we're not 100% sure why one thing happens, doesn't mean we don't know anything about it.
Okay, I accept
You're
that.
just not
Okay,
making
sure.
the right statement.
Yep, I accept it. Okay. So another one I would look at is they said that they figured out how Venus and Mercury were between Earth and the Sun.
Well, that one's pretty damn good, but go ahead.
Yeah, because you can't see them during the nighttime. You can only see them during the daytime.
Other reasons, like they go behind the sun.
So how can you see Venus at night then?
We can when it's far enough away from the sun. There are periods, morning and night, when it's dark, that we see Venus.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That I see Venus.
How could that be possible? Christian said you can't see it during the day or during the night.
Yeah, because you'd have to be looking towards the
Far enough
sun.
away from the sun.
How is it actually a problem?
Because wouldn't you have to, like, if you wanted to look at something in my front yard, how do you look into the backyard and see it?
How do they not know this shit?
No. That just doesn't work. Come up with a different
Okay,
question.
sure. I accept that answer. Okay. There's another. It just doesn't work. Thank you.
That's not.
No, see, I actually, my
I'm
question
not
to you,
standing in
Chris,
my
would
front
be,
yard, looking in my backyard to see fucking Venus. You mong.
I suddenly accepted your answer. You see, this is what you just can't help yourself. You want to get the gamma comment in any way you can.
It appeared that you
Can
were
you say
saying
that again?
I was saying that it just doesn't work. What we're saying.
Yeah, I got you. I accept your answer. Now you want to throw your gamma comment in at the end?
you're actually throwing gamma comments yourself, but
Okay. So how about why is all the planets and everything in the solar system, everything is supposed to spin one direction?
let's actually stick with Venus and Mars. Venus for.
No, I said I accept your answer. Why do you want to keep?
No,
talking
no,
about it?
you didn't accept. You accept curved answer, but I still want to give my answer. So,
I accept your answer without giving it. I'll just
Okay,
whatever.
okay. So you admit that you have no point with that question.
Okay.
Then.
Sure, sounds good.
Fine.
How about this one? Why does Venus spin the opposite direction?
Has nothing to do with anything. That's
not even related to the globe model in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, because
Good
haven't you
point.
seen that thing where they drop a bunch of marbles into like a spinning graviton, sort of bending, folding of space time, and eventually the stuff knock into each other, but they all start going down the same way.
Was
They all
Venus hit by a large object during its formation that spun it the wrong way?
Sure, there we go. I like it. That's what happened, right? Clearly, it got hit by something, and it just changed the spin.
Why couldn't it have been hit by something?
I just said I accept that answer. It sounds great.
You were not implying that it couldn't have happened. Okay.
No, it could be actually if you just Google it, why does Venus spin the opposite direction? And one of them says it's thought that it's possibly that Venus had collided with a very large asteroid in its early planetoid stages, and now it spins the opposite direction of the rest of our solar system.
Some more bullshit.
So why did you ask the question if you already knew the answer?
Well, I'm just kind of curious if that's good enough
That's
for you.
obviously what they're speculating with the best evidence and calculations, etc. they've got.
Yeah, ask astronomer, right? Hey, Mr. Astronomer, you study this stuff. You've got lots of astrophysics degrees here.
Exactly.
Didn't you accept that answer?
Yeah,
so you're
I
not saying
accept it. It sounds great.
You're saying that that is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. If someone wants to believe that a large asteroid struck Venus and tilted it the opposite direction,
and you want to believe that, right?
No, my belief isn't required.
You said that it's fine.
Yeah, my belief isn't required. If someone wants to think that's what really happened,
and you want to believe that.
No, I don't have. My belief isn't required.
Okay.
See, what I'm trying to help you guys with.
This is actually an interesting tactic. Let's see how far we can drive you from your beliefs, because you're actually denying that you're denying these things.
No,
so
this
let's
is
see
what I'm
if we
doing
can
for you
drive
right
you
now.
to
You're
deny
confused, bro.
No, here,
he's saying his thoughts on the matter are irrelevant because that's what they believe and they're free to their beliefs.
I'll get to the point. Okay.
He's not standing behind his own
I'll
beliefs.
help you out. I'm getting to the point very quick. I'll jump to the point. I'll skip the rest of the weird stuff inside the solar system that people don't really have a good answer for. And I'll get right to the point. The point is that you ask flat earthers questions, then you say no, you didn't answer. Then you ask the question again, say no, you didn't answer. Then I'm wondering at this point, what are you looking for? I've answered it multiple different ways. While on the flip side, I'll ask you, why does Venus spin backwards? And you give me the answer, a large asteroid. And I'm like, sure.
There's lots of answers for it, and the problem is that we can still know that Venus is at the location it is. We can know how big it is. We don't have to necessarily know what events led to it spinning backwards. For all I know, unicorns grabbed it and spun it the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an answer too, but I would hope that someone would say...
that is not an answer that you can answer with a surety, but I can answer you with a surety the size of it, the distance of it by the testing that we've done.
Okay, but this whole thing about that it changed direction, who knows why, right? There's really no answer to that question.
There's hypotheses.
Yeah. So when flat earthers give you the same type of answer with the same type of evidence, why do you guys then say flat earther didn't answer your question?
Not the same type of evidence.
Okay, can we go to another
flat
one?
Earth answers are not the same.
Okay, how about this one, right? So you've got moons, right? They're in orbit around their planetary bodies, correct?
Go on.
Okay. Do we agree on that?
Yes, keep going.
Okay, and
go on.
Can they change their orbits?
Yes.
Can they change their orbits?
Yeah.
Well, they can't. I don't know. I don't think
If
they
something
can
happens,
change their own orbits just like that.
Yeah, they do. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. See, this is if you look at the other planets, you see these moons constantly changing their speed, their rotation, their distance from their especially Saturn. Yeah. So then you look at, well, how come the moon doesn't do this on Earth then? Why is the moon the only
moon is moving away from us?
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't seem to spin, stays tightly locked, and never changes distance.
Whoa, several moons in the solar system are totally locked.
Yeah, that's a huge lie right there. Maybe if you're trying to make a point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
no problem.
it is.
Yeah,
there's no need.
I'd like to go back a step. He said the moons of Saturn are constantly changing their orbit. Is that what you said? Sounded like what you said.
Yeah. That is like the thing that they say that they're they falsely discovered more moons, thinking they were different moons, but it turned out it was the same moon, just had changed its orbit.
Heard of such a thing?
Anybody have a clue what he's talking about?
Who's saying this? I haven't heard of this before.
What forces are?
no idea. Even if it's true, though, there's one huge problem. It seems that there's an observation, if that's true, that some moon somewhere changed its rotational direction, and his conclusion was every moon other than the actual moon does that. And that's not what they said.
There's another huge problem, which is what they call moons around Saturn and Jupiter are not close kin to our moon.
No, hold on, you guys. I want a lie.
They're space rocks.
Hold on. There's a
Some
claim
moons around Saturn are big enough to be planets.
Okay, there's a claim.
In fact, one of them I think is warm enough to actually potentially house life. Actually.
Okay, hold on. There's a claim here that Crit lied. So here we go. NASA, the 5th of 2005, 2nd of November, Epimus and Janus, two of the small moons, actually switched their positions on their orbits of their home planet. So is Crit, if I'm lying, damn.
What does that mean?
Under the bus.
Yeah, you said that they changed their
you
direction.
actually were lying. I'm still behind that. You were
That's
lying.
Exactly what I was talking
Positions
about.
are not direction.
Grit, you
Yeah, I
were
said
lying.
their orbit. They changed their orbit.
Grit.
Didn't I say the word orbit?
Their orbit, one brought them closer at one point, the other one's further away. So what?
Yeah, they changed positions.
Right, but that's what you said. You said they changed their orbit.
Did they say that happened? Was it because
Yeah, they changed their orbit.
because of an elliptical orbit?
What were the
Their
names of the
orbit,
moons?
You know what
radius.
an orbit is. That's the problem.
Yeah, their orbit or their
didn't
radii.
change. Their orbit just brings them in closer and further away from the planet.
Okay, so how come you don't see the moon do that?
Like
There's
that
one
moon
of them
does
come
Pluto.
closer and further away. Have you not heard of a blood moon or seen a blood moon?
Neptune and Pluto.
So Crit, you're still a liar.
You just might be
I'm the
very
one.
wrong.
I'm the one that said that to begin with, and I'm the one that still is standing behind it. And my reason for saying that you're still a liar is you said that all moons do that other than our moon, and you had no reason whatsoever to say that. Does that article
Yeah,
say
it's
that
interesting.
is true?
Yeah,
Does
it's
that
interesting
Crit, I have
because
a
before we
question.
started talking
It's
about this,
interesting. Yes, it's interesting.
it's really
Crit. I have.
interesting.
It's interesting. I have a question. Does that article say this observation was made about every single moon that we have ever seen?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? That you
It's really interesting because
at
it
first you said
doesn't
the
say.
moons don't change your orbit.
Crit,
They're tightly
Crit,
locked.
you're,
They just stay
you're
there.
now trying to lie about what I said.
Hey, come on, guys. One order at a time.
Yeah, well, how about this? I'll give you as much gamma time as you want. Okay, ready? Go.
So my problem with your statement wasn't that there was an observation that okay, and now he's on mute, so he doesn't need to. He's ladies and
Let's
gentlemen.
carry on.
Yeah, my problem with his statement wasn't that there was an observation of them changing their direction. How do I know? They could very well be. My problem was he said that all moons do that, and there was no such observation. And his article doesn't say that, so he's still a liar. And now he's going to jump in and try to mischaracterize why I'm.
He wasn't even listening. He wasn't even listening. So
yeah, I can see that.
So let's just.
Okay, is the gamma spiral over?
Yeah. Go ahead, alpha female. Go ahead, alpha female.
Yeah.
Crit,
Hey,
I
Chris,
still
have a
have
question.
one thing to say.
Stop trying to talk to Crit.
Crit, I have one thing to say. You're a coward. You're a coward, Crit. You're a coward.
Are you done with the personal attack?
That's such
Yeah,
a
is the
childish
gamma
thing to
spiral over?
You're a coward for going on mute.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know in chat. Stay on mute until we tell you it's clear in chat.
You're a coward for muting me when I was talking.
Can I just add
You're
a
a
quick
coward,
comment?
Crit.
Those two moons have that properties because the distance between them is smaller than their actual radii of the moon itself. That's what it's a complex gravitational attraction that they have between them and with Saturn. That's why this happens. It's not magic.
They're oscillating between each other?
Exactly.
Does it happen to every moon, rocket
Yeah, they're
scientist?
50.
You confirm
No,
this.
it doesn't because
shit.
these are two moons that are 50 kilometers apart.
In their
If anybody
orbits.
has any experience with astronomy, 50 kilometers is really fucking close. And so it's going to be a complex
That's really
gravitational
close.
orbit.
Can you convert that to miles so we can understand your Canadian language?
Listen, I'm not,
Thank you.
1 times 1.6. You can about 75 freedom miles. Okay?
Other way, my friend.
It's like
Oh, the other way.
that's
Sorry, I mean I did the other way. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I accept that
So about
answer.
35-ish.
Are they real moons or are they just like space rocks? Yeah, like 100, 200
Are
years
they
across.
blue moons? Are they clovers? Are they horseshoes? Are they
Yeah,
rainbows? Are they made of
Are they
marshmallow?
substantial rocks
Made of
or
cheese.
they're a couple hundred meters across?
Yeah, that's good. I accept that answer. Okay, that's a perfect answer. Thank you.
And the reason why they're not tidally locked is because they're interacting with each other. Other moons that are larger and not being affected by another moon 50 kilometers away will probably be tidally locked.
Great. We don't need your fake explanation, bro.
No, I do. I like it. I'm happy that that's finally an answer because the gamma spiral
Fuck you,
about
okay?
me
I
was
wasn't
not
talking
needed.
to you.
Yeah,
it's this white Canadian, bro.
Okay, how about
sorry, poke hunt. I use your name incorrectly.
We're having a conversation without you. So if we keep insulting you, will you go back on mute?
if we can stay on? If you want a gamma spiral, just let me know.
I'll let you know. I'm going
Yes,
to gamma
we're going to
spiral
permanently
because
gamma spiral. Please feel free to leave.
Okay, actually, this time I think I'll listen to the gamma spiral just for the entertainment value.
So my gamma
Great, I have a
spiral this
question for
time, I think it was gamma spiral of you to go on.
Okay, go ahead.
I thought you were going to listen, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, gamma for me.
You were
Great, I have
gamma
a question
spiraling.
for
You
you.
were being a coward, and
Okay,
now I'll let
I got it.
Molman.
Come on, give me a good gamma. I want a good gamma.
Why are you
meltdown.
replying to gamma spiraling?
Great, I have a question.
It's fucking funny. That's why.
Gamma.
No one's laughing.
I am.
Can you make it funny? Can you laugh?
Make a little gamma. Try and.
Okay, so
I have a
about,
question.
Molman, go ahead.
yeah, can we stay on Jupiter
Laugh
and
for us,
Saturn,
gamma
if you will?
spiraling monkey.
So can we, if it's okay, I got more questions about Saturn, if you will.
Crit Molman is trying to ask you a question.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
the questions. I don't have any answers right now.
Okay, so I can
here-
ask a question? No. Okay.
No, okay, go ahead. You want to ask is it a gamma question or just something serious?
No, it's a science question.
Okay, go ahead.
What's the opposite of natural?
Supernatural?
Is that a
Not
dichotomy?
natural.
No, let Crit answer. Someone, show me your hot monkey. Show me.
Bro, what's up?
Show me. Yeah, Crit, is that
Okay.
a dichotomy? There's natural and supernatural.
Yeah, I guess there's probably a sort of metaphysic reality between the two of them.
Yeah,
We
but
talked about
still,
this in
it's
yeah, me
sort
and
of dichotomy.
Yeah, me and you talked about this in their server just the other day. Don't you remember?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so what more do you
so-
think you can gain from that? Then did that conversation reach its logical conclusion? What did I
No,
give you
I'm
as a
just
good
asking
example
what
of that?
dichotomy is.
No, I mean, if show me, mute yourself. So, a shoe or another man-made object, would it be natural or supernatural?
Okay, yeah, it would be natural, but I would know what the cause
Okay.
is.
Thanks.
Okay.
No, it's all that I need.
Yeah, it wouldn't be supernatural. Would be like where the gods must be crazy. Have you seen that movie where
A
the
shoe
dude
is natural.
where the dude dropped
Shoe
the
is
Coke
natural.
bottle?
Yeah. No, I
Therefore, we
just
can
wanted you to
study
say
it.
that shoe is a natural.
Okay,
so
yeah.
we can study it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can study it.
Okay,
with
there we
science.
go. We're good. Okay, so cool. So now we got
I disagree.
Saturn.
I would say that a shoe is artificial.
I don't understand.
We're talking
just
about a
because it's not
dichotomy, you
supernatural.
fucking retard. Stay on topic.
Yeah,
Okay.
So there's natural and artificial. It's another dichotomy.
No.
Yeah,
no.
even
no.
if it's
no,
artificial, it's
natural
not
or
supernatural.
supernatural.
A or B.
Yeah.
You're
Why don't you
stupid.
guys want to talk about space? This is like fun, isn't it? Okay,
Not
so
really.
so Cassini has observed some interesting things about the rings.
I thought we were talking about space.
Yeah.
Just
So you
remember
got-
the object here. We're trying
Now,
to
is
get Chris
space
to say
natural or
stupid things
supernatural?
that we can laugh at.
Okay, so
that's
then
the
you've
point
got
of all this.
okay,
Ask the next logical question. Is space supernatural or natural?
so you've got Cassini, right? And it made observations of these rings around Saturn. Like,
So-
how exactly did they
Sorry,
are
can I-
these rings formed?
I just go back to the shoe. I'm still not over it. So if I'm on an all-natural diet, can I eat shoes?
Yes.
You will eat shoes and you will like them, sir.
I think you can.
Okay. Fair.
I don't remember.
You're a
if the,
vegan if you eat shoes, though.
I don't remember if
You
the
eat vegan
ring.
friendly shoes.
I believe the rings are
Well, my question is,
associated
what
with
supernatural food are you eating? Ambrosia?
I believe the argument for Saturn's rings is that they came from a collision.
I think it was a planet that got too close to the tidal forces of the, planet. I mean, there's lots of theories out there.
Yeah, but the rings of Saturn are unique among the other gas giants.
No, Jupiter has a ring.
No, I mean the
Neptune
nature
has
of,
a ring.
The nature of these rings are unique.
What do you mean the nature?
Only in the quantity.
Yeah, the quantity, and also that they can hear sound waves coming from them. And there's also
the other ones are
Oh my
too small.
God, no.
Sound
No,
waves
no,
coming
no,
from
no,
space.
no.
And
Really?
there's also the idea that
Wait,
You
can I just clarify that?
understood something. It's not funny.
Can I clarify? You saying sound waves travel through space to reach us or something?
yeah, you can actually look at you can Google this if you want. You've got the Voyager picked up space sounds from the rings of Saturn.
I heard
and Cassini,
No.
and Cassini sent back
Right.
sounds.
You're
too.
wrong.
No, they did not.
So you're claiming so your understanding then is that sound can travel through a vacuum.
Yeah, it says here the sounds of Saturn's rings are actually particles of dust that can be heard by the spacecraft's plasma detector. Even going back as late as
Does that mean it's
2016.
sound waves or is it
So
plasma?
it's not really a
by
sound, then,
kinetics.
is it, if it's dust?
That's
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah,
Does
so
sound
NASA
work by
recorded
kinetics?
lots of dust particles and noises.
See how they put
So
the
my
word
question would be,
sound
how
in
does
quotes?
sound travel in space?
Quotes.
Sunlight goes through space.
So then
Energy
it's
goes
not
through space.
sound, really, is it? If it's dust.
So
You may have a
sound
different
goes through
definition of
space
sound,
too.
though.
Sound,
No.
sound
It got picked
propagates.
up
Yes.
on their plasma detectors, but it's
Okay.
not really sound, is it?
Okay, sure, I
No.
accept that answer. Sounds good. It's not sound.
There's more
It
to it.
sounds good.
People
Yeah,
have taken
that sounds good.
things
I like it. I like
and
the answer.
they've transposed frequencies that were received and made it into audible frequencies and made like what they call music out of it and shit. And people call it sound. People like Jeremy that write science articles that are really just
Listen
fucking
to the sound
guys
of
say
my
stupid shit.
light.
Shut up, Demok. I'm
Okay,
talking.
yeah, I got it. And that's
Wait,
why I
which
thought was
Jeremy are we
interesting
talking
about
about?
this. That the other gas giants made no claims of any sort of plasma particle sound waves except for Jupiter. Or I'm saying Saturn. Except for Saturn. So now you
Did they
can
say that Jupiter doesn't make those sounds, or did they not test for it? Did the piece of equipment not test for it?
I'm pretty sure there's dust flying from everywhere.
Yeah, it said unique to Saturn, and then the sound abruptly stopped at some point, and they haven't detected anything since.
The sound of light or frequency.
That's why I thought it was interesting too. Like it made
Kinetic
sound.
energy propagates.
It made sound for a short period of time and then stopped.
Propel itself, right?
What, did it stop when the spacecraft got too far away to hear it? Or did it sense it?
Wasn't it Van Gogh that said he
It
could
all
hear
follows
color
the
or
inverse
something?
square law, but it propagates itself to a certain extent.
all hear Demok,
but it follows the
unfortunately.
inverse square law at the
Not me,
same
though.
time.
I can't.
I just see his name light up. That's called
Okay, so we're-
synesthesia, when you get your senses mixed up.
So one more question for Saturn. It would be basically they say that the reason why there's so many rings around Saturn, and it's so unique compared to the other gas giants, is that it's actually old moons that have broken up and then became like an ice particle ring. Does that
Sounds
sound about right, or is that seem like
It sounds possible.
okay?
Sounds possible.
But
think I mentioned that
the
earlier.
other thing about every planet in the solar system is unique, because each one of them has had unique events. Isn't that kind of cool?
Earth
Yeah,
is
but
unique
that-
as well.
Yeah, it's real cool.
Mars is unique.
That debunks the globe, though.
What debunks the globe?
That they're unique.
Everyone
That
has a
everything is
unique.
unique. Really?
Everyone has a unique position in the solar system, except for the ones that collide.
Wait, everybody in this room is sitting in a unique point in space.
Ooh, I have a
Welcome.
unique beard.
No, you're all sitting on Earth.
No, well, I'm sitting in a different position. I have a
But it's
unique
still on Earth.
position on the surface
Boom.
of the Earth.
Okay, so if we could
You're
stay on
sitting in
moons.
the medium that surrounds you.
So on the topic of moons, right? So they've got this idea where there's confirmed moons and then total moons, which is like their guess, like how many more would there be? Or do you think these numbers would be like just right, or do you think it could change over time? Like they'll just like
I
they know.
hate their
One more-
definition of moons.
Yeah,
Moon
one
should
more.
be
I'm sorry.
gravitational-
Okay, go ahead.
I think that moon should be gravitate collapse under their own gravity. They should be round, spherical at least. I hate the fact they count rocks as moons.
Don't worry, Moyak. Neil deGrasse will
Wait,
come
to answer
along
your question.
and rechange the definition of moons.
Good.
Kind of.
To answer your question, first of all, like
Okay, go ahead.
like the other guy said, so I'm just answering your question. Like the other guy said, definitions might change, which could change the count. New information can come to light. We're finding out more stuff every day, and the more we find out, the more we realize how little we actually know. So, could it change? Yes, very easily. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, but then basically you're saying those things that they're looking at are still going to be there. It just changes the meaning. Are they a moon or not? Is that kind of
One way they could find more moons that we didn't see before. They could find more information that tells them something else. There's different ways that the number could change in the future.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I was looking at, the one thing from NASA Solar System Explorer. It's like a junior website for high school kids and stuff. So they got like how many confirmed moons, provisional moons, and other objects they're looking at, how many planets and dwarf planets. And just kind of feel like, is this stuff right here just a solar system now? This isn't talking about all these honeypot or honey badger. Oh wait, Goldilocks. What Goldilocks areas of?
How did you
other,
get honey badger out of that?
I misspoke. It's on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't think of it.
Good one. Honeypot.
I like
Yeah, honeypot, honey badger, like Goldilocks. I guess.
I want to live in a honey badger.
I see what your thought process. It makes sense to me.
Because the Goldilocks stole the porridge with the honey from the bears and stuff. So maybe
the badgers.
Yeah, the honey bears. But then like,
right, you know, if you hadn't corrected yourself, you might have got away with it because it kind of sounded right. The honey badger one.
Jim, at no point did that sound right.
It did. I like.
Your mom told you the wrong.
As long as it helps you remember.
No, Moyak. No.
I have unique tassels, man.
Welcome to the block zone, Moyak.
I need to go burn my eyes out now.